First, let's go to Craven Cottage. Fulham taking on Sunderland. The visitors could go second with a win. Charlie Slater.
But the pressure is far more on Fulham. 5 defeats in 6. It's as bad as they've been under Marco Silva since returning to the Premier League 4 seasons ago. So an important afternoon as he looks to steer them away from the relegation zone. He'll be relieved to be at Craven Cottage despite the rancid weather. They've won 90% of their points here. But here comes Sunderland off to their best start in the top flight this century. Unsurprisingly unchanged. Regis Lebris says he doesn't want to disrupt any of their momentum, while Fulham are forced into one change. The suspended Sasha Lukic replaced by Josh King as the two teams take the pitch.
And commentary of that is on Sports Extra if you want to listen to it.
Thank you very much, Mark. Welcome everybody to Craven Cottage on a wet afternoon in West London. Here come the two teams then. Fulham 15th right now in the Premier League table, struggling for form. Points have primarily come here at their home, and this Sunderland team who continue to surprise in this Premier League season, beginning the day in 4th, and with the opportunity, if they can win again here, which would be their 6th Premier League win in 12 games, that would take them level on points with Manchester City ahead of their game later on this evening against Newcastle United. I'm Chris Wise, former Southampton defender. Franny Benali alongside me. Franny, we've got the heat being projected out of the little black cisterns in front of us, and even though it's on the opposite side of the ground to us, we're in the small Johnny Haynes stand. The big displays happening in front of the Riverside. We're feeling that warmth. We need that warmth today, and we're nicely tucked in the press box ready to go.
Yeah, good afternoon, Chris. Really good to join you, and what a place for watching football, isn't it? As you say, in such a historic stand, watching the game this afternoon with the new stand opposite us on the Thames River, and both teams shaking hands now, ready for kick-off under the lights, in the rain, with the pyrotechnics going off. Let's hope we have some sparks and goals this afternoon.
And those lights are very necessary on this gloomy afternoon in the capital as well, beaming down from that giant Riverside stand opposite us where the players are embracing right now. So let me give you the team news for both. It's relatively straightforward really, even though these two haven't played, of course, for 2 weeks. Fulham last in action when they were beaten at Everton. Sunderland, of course, got that brilliant late draw against the league leaders Arsenal. But amongst the two of them, just the one change, and it's a Fulham change as well, with Sasha Lukic suspended, so Josh King is in for him. So Fulham are Bernd Leno in goal, Kenny Tete, Joachim Andersen, Calvin Bassey and Ryan Sessegnon in their defence. And then Iwobi and Berger in midfield, with what we think will be Josh King in a slightly more advanced role, the number 10. And then Harry Wilson, fresh off the back of a brilliant international period with Wales, with his hat-trick and wearing the captain's armband for his country as well. He'll play off the right-hand side. Kevin, the tricky Brazilian, off the left. And Raul Jimenez up front. And no Rodrigo Muniz, we are told, until January, having damaged his hamstring for the second time this season. For Sunderland, maybe no surprise that with everyone fit, it is the same starting 11 that got that 2-2 draw with Arsenal. So Robin Roofs is in goal. The back four of Trey Hume, Nordi Mukiele, Dan Ballard, Lutaro Hertrauda and Reynaldo. And then Granit Xhaka and Noah Siddiqui, with Xhaka wearing the armband. Traore on the right, Enzo Lefebvre on the left. And Sunderland's leading goal scorer, Wilson Isidore, up front. And this Sunderland team, Franny, they just continue to cause serious ripples in the Premier League this season. What do you like about Regis Lebris's team?
Well, they've certainly put a benchmark down, Chris, haven't they? They've been, what a start to the campaign. They're back in the Premier League. They've carried that momentum through from being promoted last season. They just look fit, they look strong. To score goals like they do in the 90 plus minutes in the matches that we've played so far this season shows that they're set up well, they're organised well. They obviously play well at home with the support that they have behind them, but to have only lost a couple of games this season is very, very impressive. So a fabulous start from the Sunderland side so far. First time I'm really getting eyes on them this season live, so we're really looking forward to it.
Yeah, and they're in their change strip, Sunderland, of the all-black kit with the ever so slight yellow trim, which includes their numbers. and Fulham, who get us underway, going from right to left. So they're going towards the Putney end, over to our left-hand side, where the Sunderland fans are congregated. They are wearing all white, and they are in possession of the ball on the edge of their own penalty area in these first few seconds. So Premier League football back again, having had the international break. We've already had one game today in the top flight. Chelsea 2-0 winners at Burnley. 3 games in the Championship earlier. Wins for Bristol City. A big one for your former club, Franny. Southampton at Charlton. They won by 5-1. Coventry came from 2-0 down, the leaders, to beat West Brom by 3-2. And in League One, Plymouth, who began the day at the bottom, they've won 1-0 at Port Vale today. Gillingham and Barnet drew 1-1, and Walsall were 2-0 winners at Harrogate in League Two. And we will keep you updated with the goals as they go in throughout the afternoon here on 5 Live Sports Extra. The rain is steadily falling, as it has been for a while, as Calvin Bassey sends a long ball forward down the left, and Kevin, who's got the gloves on, which I think we might allow him to do that today, Franny, considering the chills have set in, certainly in this part of the world, in the last week.
Yeah, certainly a bit of a shock to the system after having such a mild few weeks, not so far back. But I always get a little bit jealous on days like this, Chris, when you see the players out on such beautiful surfaces like they are now, and the rain running down like it is. Just fabulous to sort of be out there on the pitch playing in these kind of conditions, although it can make it a little bit tricky for the players. Goalkeepers probably won't agree with that sentiment so much, but as an outfield player I certainly used to love it. Yeah,
long ball forward, which is just out of the reach of Wilson Isidore, the Sunderland striker, so it's run behind for a goal kick to Fulham, which Bernd Leno is going to take short, the Fulham goalkeeper, making his 125th consecutive Premier League start today, Bernd Leno, so that's the longest current run of any player in the Premier League right now. This is Granit Xhaka just inside the Fulham half, right of centre, gives it to his central midfield partner Noah Siddiqui. Siddiqui's 30 yards out with his left foot. He's played the ball to the right hand side for Traore. With his left foot he bends it up towards the far post, and it is just out of the reach of Enzo Lefebvre, who was the closest to it, the little Frenchman who was coming onto it at the back post.
Yeah, positive play from Sunderland there, wasn't it? Sort of winning it in the centre of the park and then switching it out to the right hand side. It was the left-footed delivery into the box. Wasn't really a shot or a cross from Traore, but positive start from the visitors.
Yeah, 2.5 minutes played, 0-0 the scoreline between Fulham and Sunderland, but that's the sort of start that Régis Le Bris would have wanted, and indeed has become accustomed to seeing with this Sunderland team. I saw them a few weeks ago in that win at Chelsea when they scored the late winner through Taubi, and they really were excellent. They played that game to a T.
I think they're doing that really well, Chris, aren't they? You know, and even sort of hearing some of the post-match comments after the Arsenal game before the international break, you know, like not only did they just score one of the many that they've done already this season, late goals, but they just set up for each game in a certain way, which is really impressive.
Harry Wilson just giving Dan Ballard something to think about, the Sunderland centre-half, who pirouetted inside his own half to twist away from the Welshman, but Fulham have got it back again on the halfway line with Jimenez, and then Iwobi poking it to Sessegnon, and Sessegnon going all the way back to goalkeeper Leno. So Fulham 15th, 3 wins so far from their 11 games so far in this Premier League season. They've lost 5 of their last 6 in the Premier League, a really sticky run of form, which included 4 straight defeats until they beat Wolves here in their last home game. And Sunderland quite the contrast, because they're on this 4-match unbeaten run right now, which has consisted of 2 wins and 2 draws in that time.
Yeah, in these early stages of the season, shaping up already like Fulham have got to be a force here at Craven Cottage. Those 3 wins that they've had on the board so far this season have all come here at home, so they're going to have to make this a bit of a fortress if they can. But as you say, not in particularly, other than that Wolves result, an impressive run of form at the moment.
It's going to be a Fulham free kick. Mukiele getting too close there to his man, the Sunderland centre-half, about 10 yards outside the penalty area on this near left-hand side. It was Sessegnon who he's bumped into the back of there. Ryan Sessegnon, who looks like he's bulked out a little bit, Sessegnon actually. The shoulders look a little broader from the last time I cast my eyes on him.
Yeah, players can sort of hit the gym that little bit more, can't they? Work on specific areas, but he certainly looks a real athlete, and he's part of that Fulham armoury, bombing down the left-hand side. But what an opportunity for Fulham this is to whip a dangerous ball into the box.
Yeah, so Kevin and Wilson over the free kick. Wilson it is with his left foot. Goalkeeper Roof's thought about coming. It's headed away by Sunderland as far as Iwobi, who was forced to go backwards again to Sessegnon, and he's going to take the sensible option and go all the way back to Bernd Leno. So Sunderland have dealt with that situation well. 0-0. 5 minutes played at Craven Cottage as Anderson sends it back to keeper Leno again. An early goal to tell you about in the Championship. Birmingham City are leading Norwich City by a 1-0. Did you see the plans for Birmingham's new stadium this week, Franny?
I did catch a glimpse, Chris. Yeah, it was quite unusual, but what a different, unusual kind of stadium that would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I know that opinion was slightly spit on it from what I saw on socials outside of Birmingham fans, obviously, but I was really quite taken by it. It's nice to see something a bit different, because a lot of the stadiums that were built in a certain period in England, they all look the same. Here is Kevin for Fulham on the left wing, 0-0, right-footed cross. King flicks it up into the air. Sessegnon has a chance to attack it, and away it goes from Sunderland back to the halfway line where Bassey is again. But this is Fulham beginning now, Franny, to build up a head of steam.
It is, yep. Quite a bit of possession and a few deliveries coming into the box. That's making that Sunderland defence asking questions of how they're going to set up today and defend. But as a team, it looks like they're quite happy just for Fulham to have the ball and just sit within that shape. Almost 5 at the back, 4 across midfield in front of them. And then it's just the striker, Wilson, the door. It's the door.
Here's Jimenez. I think the flag's going to go up. It is. He was quite clearly, I think, in an offside position when Kenny Tete chipped that ball into the box for him. Fired his effort way over the top of the crossbar anyway. So Fulham 0, Sunderland 0, Mansfield 0, Huddersfield Town 1 is her latest scoreline for you in League One. And Roofs takes the free kick for Sunderland, going from left to right in this first half. So they're going towards the Hammersmith end, over towards our right-hand side. Always a feeling of nostalgia, Franny, whenever I come to Craven Cottage. I know you've got this brand spanking new Riverside stand opposite us, which is imposing and wonderful, but everywhere else in the stadium, it's got this beautiful, rustic, slightly creaky feel about it.
Oh, most definitely. It's almost like watching football. If we weren't watching the football on the pitch from the stands, it's certainly a sentimental, sort of historical kind of view that we've got. The steel girders there, the tight wooden seats that we're sat on. Reminds me a little bit of the Dell, a little bit, where I used to play.
I can see that. Yeah, the seats that we're sat on, if you can imagine a seat from the 1940s, you're imagining the exact seat that we are sat on, and we are nicely compacted into the press box here in the Johnny Haynes stand. 0-0 the scoreline, 7.5 minutes played here at Craven Cottage, and here is Calvin Bassey, the Nigerian who has had such a difficult week, having missed his penalty for his country in that shootout against DR Congo, which ultimately means Nigeria are not going to the World Cup. And the irony being that one of the players that he faced a few days ago is on the pitch facing him up again today. That is Noah Siddiqui, the Sunderland midfielder. Here's Kevin for Fulham inside Sunderland's final third with his right foot, clipping the ball up into the box, away as far as Berger, who misplaced the pass that he wanted to direct back towards Harry Wilson. And Sunderland, who are defending deep, managed to get the ball up to the halfway line. They're not in possession of it, Fulham are, but at least those in the black shirts have shifted themselves up 20 yards.
Yeah, it was Lefay's header that wasn't the greatest, to be honest, but dropped to Berger, almost like centre the goal, just on the edge of the D of the 18-yard box. Could have been a dangerous area to give the ball away, but they're certainly defending in numbers, a little bit like we saw when they were at home with that draw, 2-2 draw against Arsenal before the international break.
This is Anderson, the Fulham centre-half. Talking of players who have had tricky international weeks, he's another one, having been with Denmark for that defeat to Scotland. They've still got a chance, Denmark, of making it to the World Cup, and Scotland, of course, we know will be going there directly. Here is Kevin, who's seen a lot of the ball in the first 9 minutes for Fulham, the left winger. Record signing, gives it to Iwobi, who's gone on the outside of him, and the sliding challenge. Out of play it goes from Trey Hume, the Northern Ireland international, and it's a Fulham throw inside Sunderland's final third on the left, which Iwobi takes. It's back towards Bassey, who's returned it to Iwobi again. Iwobi clips it into the box. The run was being made by Sessegnon, who is drifting a few times now into those more central areas. Iwobi again. Iwobi cleverly finding Josh King, who's darted across the box from right to left to get it. Back to the left wing again, it comes through Iwobi. Now he's trying something different as he lofts it up towards Tete, who takes it on the chest as well to keep the man away from him, which was Enzo Lefay. Fulham are keeping the ball well here, but Sunderland are trying to harass them and harangue them to get it back, and it's on the halfway line with Joachim Andersen. 0-0, Franny Benali.
Yeah, Sunderland doing pretty well there, dealing with any runs into the box, balls into the box, and then forcing them back to the halfway line, but they still have the ball in the box.
And
Fulham.
Kevin, who is trying to step overs to get away from Hume. He's lifted it in, and then Iwobi tries the overhead kick from the edge of the box. That had the Fulham supporters on their feet. Just for a moment, you wondered where it was going to go. It was right at Robin Roofs, who was immediately catapulted the ball upfield with his left foot, the goalkeeper, looking for Bertrand Traore. Covering the ground, Calvin Bassey is there for Fulham, but his clearance is a little short. Sadiqi's got it. He was caught between two Fulham players, wanted the free kick. That's not been given by today's referee, who is Darren England, and Fulham have it back again inside their own half.
Yeah, good effort from Iwobi. Would have had to been something pretty spectacular. That bicycle kick from the edge of the box. We see them go in, but maybe not quite from that kind of distance, Chris.
It would have been the eye-catching goal of the weekend for sure, had he found the back of the net with it.
Certainly would have been, but as you say, just lifted the supporters a little bit on this drab day. No real sparks that we've seen from either side just yet. Just prodding and being patient with the ball, Fulham.
Cardiff are leading at Northampton Town. Joe Colwell has scored for them. Barnsley 1, Luton Town 0, another latest score from League One. And Swindon, the League Two leaders, have gone in front against Grimsby thanks to Ollie Palmer's goal at the county grounds. As Bassey's ball forward towards Raul Jimenez is a bit too high for the Mexican. And Robin Roofs, the Sunderland goalkeeper, who has been an integral part of this Sunderland team, having signed him in the summer. Anthony Patterson might have felt a little disappointed that, having played such a massive role in taking Sunderland to the top flight, he was no longer considered the number one. But I mean, there's no doubt about Roof's offerings since he's come into Sunderland. He's been an excellent addition. Yeah,
and that recruitment in the summer, they've strengthened. And you can't argue really as a player when the team are doing well and the side are playing and getting results. The team almost picks itself if the team are winning and being positive and sat as high up in the table as they are. You can't have an argument if you're a player sat on the fringes a little bit. You've just got to be a little bit patient in those circumstances.
In the Scottish Premiership, Rangers have scored against Livingston through Emmanuel Fernandez. We've got commentary of Rangers' game against Braga in Europe on Thursday night. In fact, one of three Scottish teams that we've got live coverage of on Thursday, with Celtic playing Feyenoord and Aberdeen are at home to Noah as well in the Conference League. We've got a Noah on the pitch today, haven't we? Noah Sadiqi, the Sunderland midfielder. Robin Roofs just rolling the ball underneath his boots, the Sunderland goalkeeper, waiting for the pressure from Raul Jimenez before sending a high one upfield, and I think it was dealt with well in the end by Tete. It was slightly awkward for him just in terms of the angle in which it was dropping over his shoulder. Bassey has gone back to Leno, who almost dummied to clatter the ball upfield and then played a short pass back to Calvin Bassey again. 13 minutes played, 0-0 between Fulham and Sunderland in the Premier League this afternoon.
Yeah, good, calm, composed play from Fulham's goalkeeper, Bernd Leno. Quite happy just to make out that he's going to belt the ball long into Sunderland's half, but calm, composed, playing it out to Bassey and then switching the play when the ball came back to him. They're certainly playing through the lines a little, or trying to, but I just see the way the Sunderland are set up here today and how they've started this season. They're going to be extremely tough to break down, I think, and it would just be a case of being patient from Fulham's perspective if they don't get an early goal.
Sunderland's away form this season. They've beaten at Burnley and at Manchester United. They've got a point at Crystal Palace, and they've won at Nottingham Forest, and they've won at Stamford Bridge against Chelsea as well. And we've got our first Premier League goal of the 3 o'clock games today, and it's come at Vitality Stadium. Bournemouth 0, West Ham 1. Callum Wilson scored against his former club. With wins in back-to-back games for Nuno Espirito Santo's side in the last couple of games. As Traore picks the ball up, bursts into the Fulham box, tried to poke it with his left foot towards goal. Leno spread himself well at his feet. It was a tricky angle for Bertrand Traore to try and navigate that ball over Fulham's goalkeeper. And now the home side have a free kick which will truly relieve the danger.
Yep, positive break and play. Bassey just got caught out a little bit. I don't think he's realised Traore was steaming in over his shoulder, and then Traore broke forward into the 6-yard box, but a good save from Leno.
Bertrand Traore is still looking for his first Sunderland goal since coming back to the Premier League. Third spell now, of course, in this country, having been with Chelsea and with Aston Villa before. Getting a shot of Marco Silva with his big puffer jacket on down on the touchline, which is already completely sodden, isn't it? Talk this week of Marco Silva and a potential new contract with Fulham. Club have entered discussions with him about renewing his deal, which is up in the summer. This is Joachim Andersen with the very bright pink boots on, the Fulham defender, as Berger takes no chances, goes all the way back to Leonard, but Leonard's almost on the halfway line as he plays this pass forward, the Fulham goalkeeper, and Hume awkwardly back to Roofs, who can't stop it from going behind for a corner. That was misplaced by Trey Hume, Sunderland's diminutive fullback, so it's a chance from a Fulham set piece now.
That's one of those, exactly what we were saying at the start of the game, Chris, with the conditions like they are. It just skimmed off Hume's head. His keeper was unable to keep it in play, and it gives Fulham their first corner.
Another goal for Huddersfield at Mansfield, so they're now 2-0 up. Corner to Fulham, 0-0 here. 16 minutes played. Iwobi right-footed on top of the goalkeeper. Roofs, who was surrounded by bodies, then Berger's won a header as he sends it back towards goal. Jimenez has had a hit, and the ball has deflected away, and it's going to be another Fulham corner, and this one's going to be coming from the opposite side, the right.
It was bouncing around a few times, wasn't it? Both sides competing to win the headers. There's 2 or 3. Eventually dropped to Raul Jimenez, took it on his chest, but it was good closing down from Iwobi. From who was it? Just trying to see who it was. It was Ronaldo, I think.
So how will Sunderland deal with this Fulham corner, which again is on top of Robin Roofs, who was stretching? Did he get anything on it, the goalkeeper? I don't think Darren England has seen a touch. Some of the Fulham players feel like there was an infringement of sorts in there. I think the decision is goal kick and it's 0-0, but bit of pressure building on Sunderland with those consecutive Fulham corners. There was a touch from Roofs.
Yeah, he was stretching, really stretching, wasn't he? It certainly looked uncomfortable. He just got a fingertip to it, and that probably explained the way that the Fulham players demonstrated with the referee this afternoon, Darren England.
It was interesting because the natural reaction, even from our position here, Franny, well, to me anyway, I thought Roofs had touched it. But
that's right, it was just a slight touch though, wasn't it?
Here's Enzo Lefebvre down the other end, crossing with his right foot. It's hit Bassi, and it's gone behind for a corner. It might have winded Calvin Bassi as well, or hang on a second, the flag's actually up against Enzo Lefebvre, so even though Sunderland thought they had a corner, the decision is going to be Fulham free kick. Now I see. He's not been winded, Calvin Bassi. That has,
I think it's one of those sensitive areas, wasn't it?
It's the most sensitive area, I think you'd argue.
When you get it kicked at you like that, albeit it was 2 or 3 yards, he's just have to take a moment, I think, to compose himself, shall we say.
The unmentionables. 0-0.
I don't think he wants the ball from his goalkeeper for a minute or two. Put it that way, Chris.
Check his owner there first before he worries about getting the one from the goalkeeper. Right. Back underway we go with a Fulham free kick, which Leno is going to take. Right-footed, high up into Sunderland's half. Ballard and Jimenez were having a good battle for it there. Jimenez walked away with his arms outstretched, saying, wasn't that a free kick? Darren England says no. Fulham have it again on the right. Harry Wilson, 20 yards inside Sunderland's half. Here's Tete joining in. Tete has his attempt to break forward broken up by Reynaldo. So Fulham will rebuild again from the halfway line. With the scoreline still Fulham 0, Sunderland 0 in this live Premier League game. We've got Liverpool against Nottingham Forest right now over on 5 Live Extra. Leeds against Aston Villa and the North London derby tomorrow. 2 live games for you on 5 Live and via BBC Sounds. That's going to be a belting game at the Emirates, isn't it? Arsenal against Tottenham Hotspur. You can hear it all with us here on 5 Live. Oh, that's a misplaced pass. Kevin might be able to capitalise, and Mukiele, who didn't play the pass, he was just trying to make up for the situation, wins the challenge and tries to get Trey Hume moving down the right wing. Cut out by Anderson. Iwobi's got it. Back to Joachim Andersen, and Fulham have the situation under control again. But that was a nervy moment in Sunderland's back line.
Yeah, it was here, Schroeder, wasn't it? Misplaced, and he's acknowledging the poor pass to his teammates, just raising his hand, apologising for that. But it's one of those little things that can often just make that little difference, isn't it? A mistake like that in these kind of conditions, just let the opposition in. Certainly don't want to be giving a goal away. If they're going to score a goal, at least make them earn it through a brilliant bit of play. You don't want to be gifting goals whatsoever.
No, and I saw Lutz Harrell here, Trouder, actually, for the Netherlands last week against Poland. Here comes Sunderland down the left wing, and the cross from Ronaldo is blocked and spins away for a Sunderland corner. That was Josh King with the interception. I was going to say he had a good game here, Trouder, for the Netherlands against Poland, which was, a week ago yesterday in the World Cup qualifier.
I always think after the international breaks, Chris, just what those players that have been travelling around playing quite a bit of football as well come back, and you often wonder what the games are going to be like when they come back to the domestic campaign.
Sunderland corner in towards that near post where Ronaldo was waiting, the header away, and then King gets, or Kevin I should say, get just enough a boot on it, and suddenly Fulham break. Berger setting Wilson off. Wilson running into Sunderland's half, up to the edge of the penalty area. Wilson on his left foot, curls it wide. Unlucky Harry Wilson. We've seen him score goals like that so many times. An electric break from Fulham, led by Harry Wilson, ran up to the edge of the penalty area, opened up the body, and he couldn't quite keep his shot within the posts of Robin Roof's goal.
And it wasn't far away at all, Chris, was it? It was great play from Fulham. The initial pass from Berger released Harry Wilson, and we've seen him do it before, just driving at the fullback, the defender, cutting inside on his left foot. He had 2 or 3 other options, but he only had one thing in mind, and I think the goalkeeper was beaten, but he just couldn't keep it on target.
I say we've seen him score goals like that so many times. He scored a goal from a very similar position down the other end of the pitch against Wolves a few weeks ago here. Harry Wilson, mentioned earlier what a great week he's had, having captained his country for the first time ever and then scored a hat-trick against North Macedonia. This is Mukiele, infield for Traore, 30 yards from goal. Enzo Lefebvre trying to squeeze it into the gap for Isidore, and it was a proper squeeze for Lefebvre to try and find him, and he couldn't, and the ball runs out of play for a goal kick, 0-0.
Yeah, those passes that Lefebvre just tried in between the full-back and the centre half, they can be such a defence-splitting pass if the timing of the run is right, but I think it was just a miscommunication between the two players, and Lefebvre was frustrated that Isidore wasn't on the same wavelength as what he thought he was. Just needed to be a little bit more accurate, a bit more understanding between the two players on that occasion.
Regis Lebris, the Sunderland coach, has got the puffer jacket on with the hood pulled up. His team are in trouble again here. It's Kevin now running at Sunderland's defence. Kevin into the box, saved by Roofs, and Ronaldo scoops it away for a Fulham throw on the right-hand side. That run from Kevin, much in the same way that Wilson did a moment ago, right at the heart of Sunderland's defence, and this time it's the goalkeeper who saves them.
Well, Sunderland, although they had players back, it was a dangerous breakaway from Kevin, driving towards the edge of the 18-yard box where he takes his shot on. Right thing to do, I think, rather than trying to find one of his teammates, but Roofs down to his right-hand side, making a really crucial save. And we're just seeing a little bit of stoppage with one of the players at the moment. Just trying to see who it actually is. Sunderland are just almost waving the medical team on at the moment.
Yeah,
I missed what actually happened there.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what's happened here, but there's obviously a little bit of concern, and I can't quite work out who it is because there's so many players.
Mukiele, I think it is,
gathered around in there.
Sat on the turf now, isn't he? There's a lot of players around him from both sides. Seem to be quite concerned about him. So I'm not quite sure what it is at the moment. We might be able to see something that tells us a little bit more, but for now the medical team are seeing to him. I think
the worry is just in terms of what's just happened there. I mean, I don't know what's caused this issue for Nordi Mukiele, but it was just the fact that he almost had to be sort of slowly ushered down to the ground by several players there.
That's right. Just seeing a replay back of Kevin's effort at goal on that last counter-attack, and you can't really see him involved in that kind of play, so doesn't seem to be any contact with the players, so you might suggest that he's maybe just tweaked something, or he's just dropped to the floor. I mean, he's sat up at the moment.
Yeah, it's I mean, we've just seen a replay on the screen of a moment ago when he took the ball sort of flush to the bottom of his chin, so maybe that has disorientated the Sunderland defender slightly, who I'm pleased to say he's on his feet now. He does look a little groggy, but he's walking off now. Nordi Mukiele.
It doesn't seem to. I mean, he seems a little bit shaken, doesn't he? And I agree that that ball to the face is obviously sort of, sometimes those sort of things look quite innocuous, don't they? But taking a football in the face when you're not expecting it, I think it came off his own touch initially, but seems to have maybe just shaken him up. And as we know, with concussion protocol now, the medical teams take no chances, rightly so.
Yeah, and he's off, and Fulham have got this sort of attacking throw on the right-hand side here. So Sunderland, without one of their defenders and defending with 10 men, is Joachim Andersen. From that right wing position, gives it to Berger. On it goes to Tete, who's trying to make the room to cross from the right-hand side. Got it towards King. It's bounced back to Tete. And then Berger's delivery. And coming in is Kevin. And with his head, he's only managed to find the body of Robin Roofs from 6 yards out.
Well, Robin Roofs is certainly the busier of the goalkeepers so far in this game. This 25-plus minutes. It's a nicely clipped ball in. And Kevin at the far post could only direct his header downwards into Roofs' hands. But he's the busier of the keepers, as I say. Fulham are just stepping things up a little bit now.
And Kevin, who's still looking for his first Premier League goal for Fulham, has had 2 relatively good opportunities to get it already today. 0-0 the scoreline as Sessegnon comes down the left for Fulham again. As Fulham going from right to left in this first half, as Sessegnon's run into a bit of traffic in the form of Trey Hume, who's managed to not only win the ball off him, but he's cleared it off Sessegnon too. So it's going to be a Sunderland throw, and still in the Premier League, the only goal that we've had so far in our 3 o'clock kickoffs has come in that match between Bournemouth and West Ham, with the scoreline Bournemouth 0, West Ham 1. So still goalless between Brighton and Brentford, Liverpool, Nottingham Forest, Wolves, of course, under the tenureship now of Rob Edwards. Wolves, Crystal Palace today, and Newcastle, Manchester City to come from 5:30, and we'll have live commentary of that on 5 Live. Here is Kevin, 2/3 of the way inside Sunderland's half, gives it to Iwobi. Iwobi skips up to the edge of the penalty area. Now with the teenager Josh King, back to Kevin again, up to the far post looking for Jimenez. Jimenez shoots right-footed into the side netting, but penalised already for a push on Reynaldo, which was seen by referee England. Sunderland free kick.
Well, Ronaldo really made the most of it, I think. I would say it's fair to say. Yep, there's certainly that little nudge, but he certainly made sure that it's quite a dramatic one, just seeing a clip again, and then Jimenez just firing his shot after the whistle had been blown into the side netting.
Birmingham City have gone 2-0 up against Norwich in the Championship. Portsmouth are ahead against Millwall at Fratton Park. Zach Swanson has scored, and Leicester 1-0 up against Stoke City as well, thanks to Steffi Mavadidi's goal. In League 2, Crewe 0, Chesterfield 2 now is the latest score. There's been a couple more goals in the game between Swindon and Grimsby. Swindon were 2-0 up, but Grimsby have got one back, as the ball is with Joachim Andersen, the Fulham centre-half. And we'll keep you updated with the goals as they go in. And remember, earlier today in the Premier League, Chelsea 2-0 winners at Scott Parker's Burnley. So Calvin Bassey slightly gets away with one there as he bundles into Bertrand Traore, who ends up on the floor, and Bassey comes out of it all unscathed. And then Iwobi lifts one up towards Josh King, who was never going to win that aerial battle with Mukiele, who's now back on the pitch, thankfully. So it's 11 against 11 again, as Wilson from the right into the penalty area for King, back to goal, the back heel for Wilson, the deflection on the shot, and with Roofs scampering across his goal line, he can't reach it, so it's another Fulham corner.
Beautiful bit of play from Fulham, and the home supporters are showing their appreciation as well. It's one in that corner, but nice 1 and 2 touch football, playing the ball into the box, and then Wilson getting the ball back, and Sunderland making sure they get a block on the shot. But they're certainly stepping things up a little bit more to play in this end of the half of the pitch.
Another Fulham corner then, which is smacked away at the near post by Mukiele, the Sunderland number 20, all the way up towards the halfway line to get his team up the pitch. Oxford have scored against Middlesbrough in the Championship, and Accrington Stanley are 1-0 up against Crawley Town in League 2. Just wonder whether Fulham might be having to dip into the transfer market for a striker. Franny in January with the news of another injury for Rodrigo Muniz. Marco Silva was asked about that in his press conference this week and said that that's not something on the agenda for him right now, but it must be in the back of the mind. Here his team come again, Sessegnon with the cross, and it's spun out of play for a throw to Fulham on this near left-hand side, and we've reached the half-hour mark with the scoreline Fulham 0, Sunderland 0, but it is undoubtedly Fulham who have had the better chances in the 30 minutes so far.
It is, I agree with you, Chris, certainly, and they're on the attack now once again.
And Berger shoots from the edge of the box, and it was skipping along the surface. And Roofs again showing safe hands, the Sunderland goalkeeper, making the relatively routine save down to his left.
Well, Berger, the one out of the players in that midfield area for Fulham and the attacking positions, more the one that's going to be playing the defensive role a little bit. Things just opened up for him there, didn't he? And he responded by thinking, thank you very much, I'll carry this on and take a shot on. But once again, Robin Roofs is there to save it. He's going to be needing a change of jersey, if not a full kit at half time. I think the amount of diving on the grass he's had to do so far.
I imagine that orange kit of Robin Roofs is absorbing a lot of water right now. Igor Thiago has scored again for Brentford. What a start to the season he is having. Brighton 0, Brentford 1 is the latest from the Amex Stadium. Liverpool against Nottingham Forest, still goalless. That's our commentary on 5 Live right now and via BBC Sounds. Here come Fulham down the right hand side. Over comes Ballard, slides in, makes the challenge. It then deflects up and it hit King again, and then it came back in the direction of Ballard, who thought he was able to reach the ball, and he's lunged in at the feet of Harry Wilson. He's caught the Welshman late, and our first yellow card of the game has gone to the Sunderland centre half.
It was a beautiful breakaway, wasn't it, from Josh King down that right hand side for Fulham. Good play. Sunderland defenders getting back. He gets away with the first one, and as they try to play out from the back, Sunderland, it's just one of those ones where Wilson's coming in at an angle. I don't think Ballard sees him, but it's one of those things under the rules nowadays that officials are going to produce a yellow card for that kind of challenge.
And he saw a couple of yellow cards, Dan Ballard, unfortunately for him, in the same game for Northern Ireland against Slovakia in the first of their World Cup qualifiers. So he's unfortunately walking a tightrope again this afternoon. The broad Sunderland centre half, Dan Ballard, and it's a Fulham free kick, goalless here, as the ball is sent up towards Robin Roofs, the goalkeeper, who punches it away. It's come to Sessegnon, who drives into the penalty area again, leaves it for Bassi. Bassi up towards the far post, and then it's miscued by Kevin, who tried to hit that ball flush on the volley. He didn't get the technique right. It would have been a very Brazilian-esque goal if he pulled that off, but unfortunately it went all wrong for Kevin, and it's a goal kick. Yeah,
I think that was one, shall we say, that was probably more like me attempting a right-footed volley, to be honest. Not the best of efforts, and it was for a fraction of a second when I saw the delivery come in from the left. He was in plenty of time and space, wasn't he? Went for the spectacular option, may have had a little bit of chance to have taken a touch, but won't be probably he'll be hoping the best of his efforts so far today.
You ever score a volley in your career?
Never.
Here's Traore, who I imagine has scored a few across his many seasons now, the Burkina Faso international, as Fulham providing the high press on Sunderland's backline. So here Trauder goes back to goalkeeper Robin Roofs, 0-0, and we've played 33 minutes at Craven Cottage with the rain just relentlessly arriving onto the surface here. And actually, as Ballard plays that ball back to Roofs there right in front of us, Franny, you can see the water skipping up off that luscious looking green surface.
Yeah, and it's, credit to the pitches how they are nowadays, that they can take with the drainage and stuff and the conditions so well, even if it is really bad. But as I say, it's beautiful for zipping the ball around. If you're a passing team, it's great to knock the ball around.
As Mukiele slips it in for Sunderland, Isidore into the box, but he's been forced out of immediate danger by Joachim Andersen. But Mukiele's got it again. He's a long way forward, the centre-back for Sunderland, and Trey Hume has lost it. So Kevin is sensing the fact that Sunderland have committed bodies forward, but he's run into danger. He was having his shirt pulled, though. And even though he lost the ball, Kevin, Darren England has helped Sunderland out a little there by giving Fulham the free kick.
Yeah, but Fulham certainly didn't help themselves. I think Kevin started to go on a little bit of a mazy dribble in the centre of the pitch. Mukiele, I think he was running into a bit of trouble, Kevin. Needless foul to give away. It just gives the referee a decision to make, and he certainly made it. It just let Fulham off the hook a fraction of a second earlier than what Sunderland would have liked.
So this Sunderland team, who have got 19 Premier League points, so that is the best return of any newly promoted team, Franny, at this stage of a season since Hull in 2008, who had 20 points. So that just gives you an idea of the waves that they have caused since their promotion.
Oh, they've been outstanding, haven't they? And they're undefeated in all 5 games that they've played in the capital.
Enzo Lefebvre pushing it through, and Isidore on his way, shoulder to shoulder with Bassi. Isidore's on the floor. He's looking hopefully in the direction of Darren England, that a decision was going to come his way there, and Darren England has waved it away. I mean, had he seen that differently, the referee, Bassi would have been in big trouble, but he's deemed to have won the ball.
There is a shove by Bassi's left hand, and you can certainly see why Isidore has, one, gone to ground, but also appealed to the referee. Is there a foul there? And I think it's enough. It's very borderline. Could easily have been given.
A couple of big Premier League goals to tell you about. Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 1. Murillo has scored at Anfield for Sean Dyche's team. That's live on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds right now. And Callum Wilson has got another one at Bournemouth. Bournemouth 0, West Ham United 2. So that might be 3 wins on the spin for Nuno Espirito Santo's side, and they are pulling themselves away from danger quickly. And Robin Roofs, talking of danger, had to really hurry that along. He was under a bit of pressure there. He's ended up, I think, kicking through the Fulham man Josh King there as King was coming to close him down, and King is holding his shin and is a bit of pain here, the Fulham midfielder. And Darren England's just taking a moment. He's coming over to assess King's welfare and maybe get a shout in his ear about whether this needs a look at or not.
I don't think there's a penalty there. I don't think, Roofs is in the process of kicking the ball long out of trouble. King's come in with a challenge and he's a little bit late, but he's got his socks rolled down almost just over his ankles anyway, so he's obviously one of those players that wears one of those really small pairs of shin pads.
They all wear the small shin pads these days, don't they?
That's true, yeah.
Here's Kevin, who's trying to tease Trey Hume into making a challenge on the left wing. Hume wasn't having any of that. Fulham come inside. Anderson shoots from distance, and Robin Roofs had all the angles covered. Geometry was spot on there from the Dutchman. Just removed his hands from the situation, and the ball bounces away for a goal kick. Yeah,
and the pass that ended up going to Anderson, why not take the shot on? There was no real closing down in these conditions. 30 yards out, he was happy to have a little pop at goal. But as you say, Roofs having the angles all spot on, but he wouldn't have been pleased with that challenge that he went in with Josh King earlier. The ball that he received back, he had to take a touch first, and with no disrespect to goalkeepers, they're not always the best touches like the outfield players, and it was a little bit heavy, which encouraged Josh King to come in and make the challenge.
Foul on Reynaldo by Raul Jimenez, who's just nudged him in the back. The Mozambique international took the opportunity to go to ground, the first ever Mozambique actually to play in England's Premier League. Barnsley have gone 2-0 up against Luton in League One. Norwich have got one back against Birmingham City, so 2 on the scoreline now at St Andrews, and Derby County have just got the opening goal of the game against Watford from Dion Sanderson in the Championship. Here comes Sunderland. Traore into the box, left-footed shot, and Leno not fully outstretched to his right, but probably about 70% extended. The German goalkeeper claims the ball.
Yeah, very comfortable save, I think, in the end, wasn't it? Good build-up play down the right-hand side from Sunderland. Traore's shot just lacking the real direction and power to trouble Leno on that occasion.
But Franny, when Sunderland have had their big moments in the game, a lot of it actually has come from this right-hand side.
It has, you're right, Chris. Yeah, there's been a couple of incidents down the left, a few passes. Lefebvre's pass was off with Isidore on that left-hand side of the box. Could have been that foul with Bassi on Isidore just a few moments ago, but you're right, the more creative stuff that's come Sunderland's way has been down this right-hand side.
On a really wet afternoon at Craven Cottage, a push on Raul Jimenez on the halfway line. Free kick to Fulham, 0-0. Could have done with some of this rain in Perth earlier this morning. Might have just delayed the agony for England a little in that first Ashes test.
I did actually miss how it was going, but it was a great first day, wasn't it?
It was a great first day and an absolutely terrible second one, and it was all over within 2 days, and England were beaten. And here is Kevin for Fulham. Can get some reaction on the TMS feed to that, by the way, on BBC Sounds. In comes the cross, the flick towards goal, and it just works its way wide of the left post from Josh King, who tried to be quite clever, had to be cute with it really, because it wasn't a prime opportunity for Josh King to exploit, so had to just work on something different, and it just bounces past Roof's left post.
Yeah, he did pretty well actually, didn't he? Given it was quite an acrobatic effort, high, raising his right boot. but he's well shepherded by the Sunderland defence, as we've seen already this afternoon. It's going to take something that, either a mistake or something a little bit special, to break the deadlock.
We're live on 5 Live Sports Extra. That's the voice of Franny Benali, former Premier League defender. We've got one of the autumn internationals to come following the game here at Craven Cottage, Ireland against South Africa at Aviva Stadium. And we'll have loads of live rugby across 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra this weekend. Scotland, Tonga and England against Argentina are both with us tomorrow afternoon here on Sports Extra, as Bassey's long ball forward is a stray of Jimenez, who was the only intended recipient, and it bounced away from him and out of play for a Sunderland throw. And we're in the, suddenly, Franny, all of a sudden we're in the final 5 minutes of this game. First half, Fulham 0, Sunderland 0. And who do you think of the two managers, Marco Silva and Regis Lebris, will be feeling more content right now?
I think Marco Silva will be the happier of the two. They've had quite a bit of possession, they've had quite a few chances, but Sunderland are just a dangerous side. You can see that. A few occasions they've broken away. But yeah, Fulham at the moment, if you had to make a points decision on it, if it was a boxing match, you'd award it to Fulham so far.
And that tees me up perfectly, actually, Franny, to let you know we've got some boxing from Riyadh tonight.
I didn't even realise that.
No, I'm sure you didn't, but it was a seamless link. 11 o'clock tonight, we'll have some live boxing on 5 Live for you, including David Benavides against Anthony Yard. So make sure you're with us for that. I think that's due to get underway, that main event, just after 2 a.m. If you can stay up late to follow that. I mean, maybe you were planning on staying up late anyway for the Ashes, so you can keep your alarm as it was anyway. Here is Calvin Bassey firing one forward. King's touch, and it sets Kevin away. Hume trying to get back there with him. Hume has got there back with him. It was almost as if, as the ball runs through to Robin Roofs, Franny, like the pitch was a bit sticky there for Kevin, and he couldn't take it with him.
Yeah, I think it's just that he didn't have the pace really to get away from him, did he? It was his second touch that wasn't a good one, actually, and it played it across himself, but into the direction that Hume was recovering from, which enabled him to get the crucial talons in. But yeah, for a split second we were right in line with that. Would have been questionable on the offside maybe, but once again it's Fulham breaking away, looking dangerous.
And in the same positions on all three occasions, right through the heart of Sunderland's defence. They found themselves in that position now on a trio of occasions. Yeah,
it could be a little weakness that they've exploited on a few occasions, as you say, that could well be targeted by Marco Silva and his players.
Equaliser for QPR against Hull, 1-1 in the Championship. So this Fulham team, who have, of their 11 Premier League points, 10 of them have come here at Craven Cottage this season, as Bassey wins the ball back for them on the halfway line, and the White sweep forward again with Josh King up to the edge of the box. He's ended up on the ground, then Bassey picks it up and he can't force his shot towards goal, and it bounces off the Nigerian centre half and away for another Sunderland goal kick.
Yeah, once again, positive break, not for the first time. It's Josh King driving at the Sunderland defenders, just running out of a bit of space and room. He's a great player to watch. I think any supporters just love watching, especially youngsters coming through and breaking into the team. You know, they just get that little bit of extra support, especially when they can get supporters on their feet a little bit. Got a huge amount of talent. I think the challenge for Silva and his staff is sort of managing those minutes and the fitness of such a young player. But he's certainly a bright spark for Fulham.
He's still only 18 years old, Josh King. He's already playing for England's under-21s, and having been with the club since the age of 8 and coming through the academy, as you say, Franny, it's
great to see.
And a player that is much loved around these parts, and he's great on the eye as well. Offside flag is up against Isidore as he jumps with Bassey on the edge of Fulham's penalty area. So free kick to the home side, and we are fast moving towards the final 60 seconds of the half, plus maybe a couple of minutes of stoppage time, with the scoreline Fulham 0, Sunderland 0. But there's been a few big saves from Robin Roofs to ensure that clean sheet is still preserved right now for Sunderland, as Leno down the other end for Fulham sweeps on up to the halfway line. Hume wins the header for Sunderland, and it's picked up by Mukiele, who bursts forward down that right hand side, gives it to Traore, doesn't use him, he comes back in field for Xhaka, with the outside of his boot gets it to Enzo Lefebvre, who's quickly closed down by Harry Wilson. But here Trowder starting things again for Sunderland from the halfway line, and now Reynaldo got it stuck beneath his feet as he thought about crossing, so he's had to delay that decision. Comes infield for Siddiqui, back to Reynaldo, halfway inside Fulham's half. Sunderland working it back in field for Xhaka. Xhaka slipping it through, and the sliding challenge from Tete, and he gets a little bit of fortune that it bounces off Enzo Lefebvre and out for a Fulham goal kick.
Yeah, and it just showed he's had a quiet game so far, Granit Xhaka, hasn't he? He really hasn't sort of imposed himself on this match, but he's been a key player for Sunderland so far, an impressive form this season. His defence-breaking passes have led to chances that have been created, only bettered by Bruno Fernandes, not Guimaraes, Bruno Fernandes. So he's key player to Sunderland for sure, but just having a quiet afternoon so far.
And in the back of his mind, I think he'll be aware that he's on 4 yellow cards, Granit Xhaka, so if he collects one today, he will miss the game against Bournemouth for Sunderland next week. And actually his central midfield partner Noah Siddiqui's on 4 yellows too, so they could really do without both of them being eliminated for the same game. We're in 2 minutes of stoppage time at the end of the first half here at Craven Cottage on a gloomy afternoon, with the lights brightly shining down from the big Riverside stand opposite us, and indeed from other parts of the ground too, which is making for a super spectacle, and with that ever so slight sense of peril because of the conditions as well, as Sunderland look for the goal before half-time. Mukiele testing Bassi, going round the outside of him, cross with the right foot, closed down by Bassi, who stuck well to his task, and he deflects the ball away for a Sunderland corner in first half stoppage time. 0-0 still. Yeah,
and coming back to your point, you said it rightly a little bit earlier, Chris, it's yet another attack down the right-hand side that Sunderland have got a bit of success from, winning the corner. Be a perfect time to score a goal for a team, wouldn't it?
And they've got the threats to do that as well, with the likes of Mukiele and Ballard, the centre-backs inside the penalty area. So in front of the Hammersmith end, Granit Xhaka with the corner with his left foot towards that far post, won by Anderson. There was a foul amongst that flurry of bodies by a Sunderland player, so it is going to be a Fulham free kick.
For a split second there, I was wondering if he was going to give a penalty, because I saw Dan Ballard go to ground. There's actually Iwobi went to ground as well, so referee down in England felt he spotted something in favour of the home team.
I think it was Mukiele, wasn't it, who had a bit of a grab at his man there. And a few around us, the supporters who were on the front row, are taking the chance to get out of the rain with the half-time whistle imminent, and now the half-time whistle has gone. So Fulham 0, Sunderland's 0, the scoreline, and I think Fulham will feel that with the opportunities that they had, a couple of notable ones for Kevin and one from Harry Wilson that was flashed past the post as well, that maybe a bit of ruthlessness and Marco Silva's team might have found themselves ahead at the break here for Annie Benali.
Yeah, I guess it's one of those things, I think, when you reflect on the game as a whole, once you know the final result, and if you don't pick up maximum points, or you end up losing the goal, and as in Fulham's perspective, they'll look back maybe on that first half thinking we should have capitalised on one or two of those chances better. But yeah, it's all to play for second half, 0-0. They've certainly edged it in the first 45 minutes, but it's going to be down to who steps things up in the second half to really create that opportunity to get a goal on the board for us.
So they are all trudging off through the rain into the old cottage over towards our left-hand side, with the scoreline Fulham 0, Sunderland 0. Let me just quickly give you some of the late goals that have gone in at the back end of the first halves across the country, because Grimsby have come from 2-0 down, and they're now 2-2 against Swindon Town, the leaders. Birmingham City have re-established a 2-goal lead against Norwich, so they're now 3-1 up. Patson Daka's got a second for Leicester at home to Stoke, 2-0 there. It's Wickham 2, Lincoln 0 as well, and Barnsley are now 3-0 up against Luton. But we're going to take you to 5 Live so you can get the story of the games that have been happening across the country today, here in England and in Scotland as well. So let's rejoin our coverage. We'll be back here for second half live commentary of Fulham against Sunderland. 0-0 the scoreline, but off we go to 5 Live to join Mark Chapman and the team.
The central area goes again to nobody, and Milinkovic can clear long, and Van Dijk will tidy up back towards Alisson. Paul Robinson.
Yeah, he's walking up and down his technical area on his slot with that big long coat on, his hands tucked in his pocket. Just wonder what his half-time team talk's going to be, because I don't think he'd be too disappointed with the way that Liverpool have played with the ball. The positions that they've taken up defensively and how they've defended is what will worry him. There's a clear problem at right back, the way that Jones and Szoboszlai, neither have been there at times, and it's almost like they're playing with a lopsided back three when one of them forgets to drop in. It's a real problem for them, the right back area.
They haven't had a clear chance yet, have they? But bearing in mind that Anderson blocked the effort from McAllister, and Murillo got the deflection in from Szoboszlai. They haven't had one where you're thinking to test the keeper.
Possession-wise, they're dominating in all the stats columns, apart from the important one at the top of the sheet. But as you say, Matt Sells hasn't really been tested, hasn't had much of a save to make other than that McAllister header, and you can hear the frustration in the background.
Yeah, you're right, the McAllister header that came in as he caught it high up away towards his right, but Murillo certainly took his chance. It was a ruthless finish. After 33 minutes he buried it left-footed, and Nottingham Forest have defended well, and Anderson and Murillo have both certainly caught the eye for Nottingham Forest, and they lead 1-0. Paul?
Yeah, it's been a really good performance from Nottingham Forest. There's two sides to this. You discussed the way that Nottingham Forest have played, come with a clear game plan. That was to sit tight for 20 minutes, be in a solid defensive structure. Sangare and Anderson did more defending, protecting the back four, and then actually as they grew into the game, there would be more adventurous balls over the top for Ndoye and Dominguez down the left, and they have had a threat going forward. Liverpool, on the other hand, they've dominated possession. They've been good in forward areas without creating anything, but once again they've shown susceptibility and they've conceded, and Nottingham Forest can see that weakness.
And Harry Kane is on the score sheet as Bayern lead Freiburg by 4-2, warming up for that Champions League game in midweek, but at half-time at Anfield. What a second half we have in store. Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 1.
Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Paul. Remember earlier on, Burnley 0, Chelsea 2. West Ham looking for their third win on the spin, and they're on course to do that this afternoon. Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, very much so, Mark. Half-time, Bournemouth 0, West Ham 2. Bournemouth better until the opening goal, but that was until the 11th minute when the West Ham goalkeeper Areola, he picked out Callum Wilson with a 70-yard clearance. He controlled beautifully on his chest, pivoted, and he smashed home from 25 yards away. The second from a free kick was headed partially away by the Bournemouth defence. It fell to Bowen, who picked out Todibo, who found Callum Wilson, and he produced a quite wonderful finish on the swivel for his and West Ham's second. Half-time here, Mark. Bournemouth 0, West Ham 2.
Obviously a long way to go this afternoon, but as things stand, Brentford are going 5th, Chris Coles.
Which would be their 4th win in 5. They're in excellent form and they lead Brighton by 1-0 at an extremely soggy Amex. Rain has fallen throughout and it's very watchable, this game, but only one goal. Igor Thiago's penalty for Brentford. Balaba's rash slide on a rampaging Ouattara, clear penalty, expertly converted by the prolific Thiago. Vifa had Brighton's best chance early, shot well saved by Kelleher at the front post, but more needed if Brighton are to keep their unbeaten home record this season. Brighton 0, Brentford 1.
Goalless at Molineux. How have Wolves looked under their new manager, Pat?
Well, they've done well to be all square. Pino's perceptive passing in the Palace midfield, setting up various chances. One in particular wasted by Mateta on a one-on-one. Poor first touch. Wolves are relied on counter-attacking. Henderson saving a Gomez free kick with his legs, then clawing away a hook centre from Manetsky. But at least Wolves are showing character. Wolves 0, Palace 0.
Goalless at the Cottage as well, Charlie Slater.
Yep, 0-0. Marco Silva will be pleased with what he's seen, though. 9 attempts to Sunderland's 2. Harry Wilson and Kevin both look dangerous. Wilson has seen one flash just wide. Kevin, a close-range header saved. He probably should have done better with that. Sunderland's only threat in the first half has been down the right with Bertrand Traore. He had a one-on-one that was well saved. It's Fulham 0, Sunderland 0.
Earlier in the Championship, Bristol City 3, Swansea 0, Charlton 1, Southampton 5. Southampton were 4 up after 22 minutes at the Valley, and Coventry came from 2 down to beat West Brom 3-2. It put them 8 points clear ahead of the 3 o'clocks, and they are still 8 points clear because second and third are both losing. Let's start with second, Middlesbrough at Oxford. Emily Herbert.
Yeah, Oxford leading Middlesbrough by 1-0 at the break. Luke Harris, the difference. The ball swung in from the left, and there was the Fulham loanee to tap home his second goal for the club from close ranges. Oxford's only shot on target, and with Borough's 12 attempts, they really should be at least level. Half-time, Oxford 1, Middlesbrough 0.
Even worse for third place Stoke at Leicester. Julia.
It's Leicester 2, Stoke 0. That first goal coming on 23 minutes. Harry Winks sending the ball to Steffi Mavididi. Got hold of it on the left-hand side. Shot from the centre with his left foot over the top of the keeper. Then just before the break, Patson Daka got the second on the counter-attack. He came in from the right-hand side to the centre of goal and hit it with his right foot into the back of the net. Stoke have had chances though. Junho and Cresswell have both had shots go wide. Wilmot had a header saved by Asmir Begovic, but they did look frustrated going in at the break. See why though. Leicester Leicester 2, Stoke 0.
All square at Loftus Road at half-time. Rich Wolfenden.
QPR 1, Hull 1 at the break. It was Joe Gelhardt who scored the opener with the visitors' first chance of the game, driving it past Hamer from an improbable angle, making it 2-2 for the Leeds loanee. QPR, though, fought back through Elias Chair as he grabbed his first league goal of the season from close range. At the break, it's QPR 1, Hull 1.
Portsmouth lead at the break. Paul Scott.
And they're good value for it as well. They lead Millwall by a 1-0. Defender Zach Swanson with the only goal at the midway point of the first half. His first goal since Boxing Day, and it was a cracker. Into the top corner from 25 yards. Millwall with just one attempt on target. A low effort, easily saved. They've seen Zach Sturge stretch it off. Pompey heading for their first win in 7. They lead Millwall by a 0-0.
Wrexham have drawn 3 of their last 4 away from home, and they're on course for another one this afternoon. Mark Webber.
Ipswich 0, Wrexham 0. The groans of frustration from the Ipswich fans, louder than the lighthouse foghorn from the Suffolk coast, as the home side have missed a bucket of chances, while Wrexham are happy to play the long game. Jane Philogene with the first, James McLean headed that away, the other 3 not being converted by colleagues. Meanwhile, Wrexham are the Gary Kasparov in this game of footballing chess, happy to soak up the pressure. A few forays into enemy territory, maybe more to come in the second half. Ipswich 0, Wrexham 0.
I think I might have to take your word for that. Next to Birmingham, new manager, same old problems for Norwich.
Yes, Birmingham 3, Norwich 1. 2 goals for Birmingham striker Marvin Duksh, bookending the first half here. He might have had a hat-trick if he'd not wasted a great chance from 10 yards out. Jay Stansfield heading in the second after a lovely move down the right. Norwich did pull one back through Mateus Quisgarden, but new manager Philippe Clement has a heck of a lot of work to do at half-time. Birmingham 3, Norwich 1.
Derby on course for their 6th straight win in the Championship. They lead Watford at the break by a 0-0. Dion Sanderson got that for John Eustace's side. We'll go around Leagues 1 and 2 and Scotland very shortly, but half-time in the Rugby Union. Wales against New Zealand. Commentary of this on Sports Extra 2, Owain Gwyneth.
Wales 14, New Zealand 24. 3 first-half tries to the visitors. Caleb Clark giving the All Blacks an early lead in a 7-minute period. Wales didn't touch the ball once. Ruben Lowe's third try in 5 caps, and Tamaiti Williams the others. Tom Rogers cross for a brace for Wales, lifting the home crowd spirits. Wales are in this fight, different to what many expected. Wales 14, New Zealand 24.
Ireland, South Africa at 5:40 on Sports Extra for you later this afternoon. In League 1 earlier, Plymouth moved off the bottom of the table with a 1-0 win at Port Vale. In the 3 o'clock games, we're with 4th place Bolton at home to 3rd place Bradford. Naz Premji.
Bolton Wanderers 0, Bradford City 0. The home side, Mark, have dominated, and Bradford can't handle a Mario Cozier-Dubry. He is frightening the Bantams backline. He's had several efforts, the best one a low drive which was just wide. Mason Burstow's headed over for them. Carl Dempsey also hit one from distance which fizzed wide. Bradford haven't had a single shot in the first half. Bolton Wanderers 0, Bradford City 0.
Elsewhere in the 3 o'clocks in League 1, AFC Wimbledon 0, Wigan 0. Luton have won their last 2 away from home in League 1. That could come to an end this afternoon. They're 3-0 down at Oakwell against Barnsley. Leyton Orient lead Blackpool by a 0-0. Aaron Connolly with the goal. That's 8 for the season for him. A very good first half for Huddersfield at Mansfield. They lead by 3-0. It's Northampton 0, Cardiff 1, Reading 0, Rotherham 1, Stevenage 0, Doncaster 0. And the leaders at the start of the afternoon, Lincoln, are behind at the break at Wickham. They trail by 2-0. Sam Bell got both the goals for Michael Duff's side, 6 for the season in total for him. Gillingham 1, Barnet 1 as we go into League 2. That's a full time from earlier. And Walsall beat Harrogate 2-0. It took them to the top of the table. How can Swindon respond? They drop to second. Win though, they go back to the top. They're being watched by Jacob Culshaw.
A remarkable first half, Mark. Swindon 2, Grimsby 2. 2 goals in the first 13 minutes gave Swindon an early cushion. The first a header from Palmer, the second a sweet strike from Bowden before it completely flipped on its head. Grimsby pulling one back through Green, and then their skipper, Danny Rose, converted from the spot to level from 2 down. Swindon only have themselves to blame. Manager Ian Holloway will be absolutely fuming from the stands. Half-time here, Swindon 2, Grimsby 2.
Elsewhere in League 2 this afternoon, Barrow 0, Cambridge 0. Bromley leads Salford by 2-0. Their first goal coming from Omar Sawunmi. That's 5 for the season for him. Cheltenham 0, Bristol Rovers 0. Crawley 0, Accrington 1. Crewe 1, Chesterfield 2 at the break. Fleetwood lead Shrewsbury by a goal to nil. Ryan Graydon got that, 6 for the season for him. Notts County 1, Colchester 1, Oldham 0, Newport 0, and Tranmere lead MK Dons by 2 goals to nil. MK Dons just 1 defeat in their last 7, but Charlie Whittaker has got both those goals for Andy Crosby's side, and he has now got 6 for the season. In the National League earlier, Aldershot 1, Woking 2, and Rochdale's 2-1 win at Tamworth took them to the top of the table for now. Forest Green Rovers will go back to the top with a win at Wealdstone, and they are leading at the break by a goal to nil. Elsewhere, Brackley 2, York 2, Eastleigh 0, Hartlepool 0, FC Halifax 1, Solihull Moors 0. Solihull Moors down to 10 in that. Boreham Wood are down to 10 at Gateshead, but they lead by a goal to nil. Goalless between Morecambe and Yeovil. Scunthorpe are 1-0 up on Braintree. Southend lead Altrincham 2-0, and Sutton are 1-0 up at Truro. Into the Scottish Premiership, St Mirren Celtic is at 8 o'clock tonight. Hearts play tomorrow. They're the leaders. We're with Rangers at home to Livingston, and they're being held at the break, Kenny.
Yeah, half-time score, Rangers 1, Livingston 1. Danny Rose, hosts, looked in complete control when Emmanuel Fernandez headed in the 9th minute. Brilliant header in off the bar from James Tavernier's corner, but him and his stand-in defensive partner Giga didn't look so clever 10 minutes later when a Livingston long ball by Stevie May eluded them both and left Tete Yengi to run through and poke it beyond Jack Butland for his first goal of the season. And since then, Rangers have looked decidedly shaky. Yengi had another chance blocked. They claimed for handball. Livingston, it wasn't given, and it's half-time score, Rangers 1, Livingston 1.
Elsewhere in the Scottish Premiership, Dundee United 0, Falkirk 2, Hibs 1, Dundee 0, and Motherwell are 2-0 up at Kilmarnock. In the Scottish Championship, Adrionians 0, Ayr 1, Arbroath 0, Wraith 0, Dunfermline lead Morton by a goal to nil, and Partick Thistle are 2-0 up on the leaders St Johnstone at the break. If that stays as is, Partick will cut the gap on St Johnstone to just 3 points at the top of the table. In League 1, Cove Rangers 0, Alloa 0, Hamilton 1, Kelty Hearts 1, Montrose 2, East Fife 1, Peterhead 0, Stenhousemuir 1. And in League 2 this afternoon, Clyde 1, Annan 0, Dumbarton 1, Forfar 3, East Kilbride 1, Edinburgh City 1, Spartans 0, Stranraer 4 at half-time, and Stirling 0, Elgin 0. One result from the Women's League Cup this afternoon, Nottingham Forest 0, Manchester City 2. You are up to date with all the afternoon scores in the football. 2 minutes past 4. Jill has the BBC News.
Welcome back to Craven Cottage. We'll leave our coverage of 5 Live there for now. And the scoreline here in our live Premier League game, with Fulham having emerged from the tunnel a moment ago and Sunderland just on their way out now, is Fulham 0, Sunderland 0. And as it stands, it means that Sunderland will maintain their place in the top 4 in the Premier League table and move on to what would be 20 points, which is quite incredible, really. And actually, the team right behind them, if everything stays the same for Annie Benali, are Brentford, who are now on to 19 points if they maintain the lead they currently have at Brighton, which is incredible. Which is also a brilliant job that Keith Andrews is doing there.
Yeah, and it's great to see, I think, when you see the table mixed up. I know it's still pretty early stages of the season, isn't it? But great to see sides that you don't expect to be in that around that area of the table. Just makes it that much more interesting for every single one of us, I think. But you know, as we always say, the table never lies. You are where you are on merit, and Sunderland have certainly done that so far this season.
So we're set to go in the second half. There's the blast of the whistle from Darren England. Sunderland get us going. 0-0 the scoreline. So the visitors going from right to left in this second half, and immediately the ball forward to Enzo Lefebvre, shoots right-footed, and his shot whizzes past the left-hand post of goalkeeper Bernd Leno of Fulham, and that got those Sunderland fans behind Leno's goal, and that put the end on their feet very quickly.
It certainly did, Chris, didn't it? And if the Fulham players didn't come out switched on, ready to go, that's certainly woken them up, that's for sure, because that was pretty close. Wonderful first touch from Lefebvre. His driven shot goes wide. I think it would have been covered. Wouldn't have troubled the keeper too much, but great start to the second half.
And Sunderland, who really struggled to create in that first 45 minutes, nearly had a goal that would have given them a very precious lead here at Craven Cottage. Got a nice little stat for you, Franny, on second half goals from these two teams this season. Whether or not this dictates the narrative, I don't know, we'll see. But 10 of Sunderland's 14 goals in the Premier League this season have come in second half of games. That's the second highest total in the Premier League. And for Fulham, they've conceded 69% of their goals in the second half of Premier League matches.
Wow.
So we'll see how that plays out.
We know it's going to do one or the other, isn't it? It's either going to continue for Sunderland or it'll just go completely against Fulham.
But they've started really well, Sunderland, in this second half, and they come again with Isidore down the left-hand side from a long looped ball forward that has located the Frenchman. Lefay goes back 15 yards to give it to Reynaldo, the Sunderland left-back, in this 5-4-1 formation. I'll give you the teams in full in just a moment again, as Ballard lifts one down the right side. Traore's going to struggle to reach that. Bassi was always going to win it first, and he goes back to Leno. So Leno in goal for Fulham, Tete, Anderson, Bassi and Sessegnon, and then Iwobi and Berger with Wilson and Kevin on the flanks, Josh King in the number 10 role, and Raul Jimenez up front. And for Sunderland, who have named the same 11 that drew 2-2 with Arsenal a couple of weeks ago, Robin Roofs in goal, Mukiele, Ballard and Pietrauda, the back three, with Hume and Reynaldo, the right and left backs respectively. Xhaka, the captain, and Siddiqui, with Traore and Lefay a little further forward, supporting Wilson Isidore, who is Sunderland's leading scorer with his 4 Premier League goals this season, including one at Chelsea and that big away win that Sunderland got at Stamford Bridge a few weeks ago. It's not been that sort of performance, at least the first 45 minutes weren't, from Sunderland, as Robin Roofs, the goalkeeper, has to hurry his clearance away from inside his own box. Tete wins the header on the halfway line, and Sunderland pick it up again with Xhaka.
Yeah, fascinating to hear those stats that you read out, Chris. And Sunderland have certainly made a great habit as well, haven't they, of scoring some really late goals as well. I think they've scored, is it 5 they've got it here somewhere. I'll dig around for it before the end of the half, that's for sure, but especially if they do dig one out in a 90 plus minute. Just found that habit of scoring late goals to secure some wins or get some points on the board.
And an early goal in the second half for Stoke at Leicester. Leicester 2, Stoke 1 in the Championship. Harry Wilson from the halfway line punches the pass forward, which Kevin collects. He's got support from Sessegnon on the left flank. Sessegnon's cross is blocked by Mukiele, and Sunderland run it away and give it to Traore on the right wing. Traore's played a really awkward ball across the edge of his own box, and Jimenez and Reynaldo jumped for it. Jimenez has ended up on the ground. Sunderland break, but the referee, as he needs to do, and I mean none more so than with Raul Jimenez, considering what's gone before, is stopping play because of a possible head injury.
Yeah, of course. He went to ground. I think my initial feelings was he was looking for the foul, certainly looking round and backing into him, but there was a little collision there. Sunderland would be disappointed because they were breaking away down the left hand side, and the referee's explaining to Jimenez now, one, why he probably didn't give the foul, but why he called play back as well, and the fact that he does have to go off for a bit of treatment.
So he is making his way off. Raul Jimenez, black gloves on, short sleeve shirt, Mexican forward who scored for his country actually against Paraguay, played almost 2 full 90 minutes for his country during the international break. Raul Jimenez. Nottingham Forest have scored again at Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 2. Nicolo Savona has got the second goal at Anfield on what appears to be turning into another difficult day for the champions. Here's Granit Xhaka, who's had a relatively quiet game so far, which is not really like the standards he's been setting this season. And Traore, who was stooping slightly lower to try and take it on his chest, it bounces off his frame and out for a Fulham throw in their left-back area.
Here we go, Chris. I found that little stat. Sunderland have scored a total of 5 goals this season in the 90 plus minutes of the games that they've played already. Fitness, concentration, digging goals out when it matters.
Yeah, and I mentioned that Chelsea game. Of course, one of those goals came against Chelsea with Shemsteen Taubi's very late winner. Fulham on the front foot here, 0-0. We're 5 minutes into the second half. Iwobi 10 yards outside the box. Sessegnon on the left wing. Traore leaning into him. Sessegnon can't keep his balance. He's back on his feet. How's he back on his feet from there? And his cross is blocked, bounces, and behind. Sunderland aren't going to keep it in play. It's going to be a corner.
Sessegnon did so well, didn't he? as you say, how did he sort of went to ground almost on all fours at one point with the ball sort of underneath his body, but managed to get back to his feet to win his side what could be an important and precious corner.
Iwobi's got the yellow ball in his hand. He's just bouncing it at the moment in the quadrant. I think that's more about maybe an indication to his teammates about the set-piece routine that might be coming here. Fulham have become quite handy at corners this season, which was a bit of a weakness for them 12 months ago, but they've worked it all out now. Iwobi's got his left arm high in the air, and with his right foot the corner in towards the near post, won by Mukiele, who was occupying that space. Out to Iwobi again, skips past one with quick feet, drops the shoulder on his left, back on his right. This is really good from Iwobi. Couldn't get the room to whip the crossing in the end though, so Fulham have to go backwards for Sessegnon, and then Iwobi makes himself an option again. He's challenged though, Iwobi, but his perseverance gets the ball back again for Fulham, and he's giving it to Berger. Berger runs towards the byline. Berger was trying to keep his feet on the slippery surface, and he's got another corner for Fulham, who have now had a good 2 or 3 minutes inside Sunderland's half.
Certainly has, putting a bit of pressure on the Sunderland defence. Good play from Iwobi, as you mentioned, Chris. But if that bouncing of the ball on the last corner was a subtle indication to his teammates of the set piece, this one's certainly a lot less. Just a raised right arm for this one.
So in it comes again from Iwobi, from the left for Fulham. Roof's taking command of the situation, pushing his own players out the way to get there. He's punched it away, but actually the referee's whistle has gone anyway, so it's going to be a Sunderland free kick.
There's a danger sometimes, isn't it? I mean, clearly the officials have got to give fouls and blow the whistle and stop play if there's been an incident that's taken place that they see, and I think that was a correct decision there to blow the whistle for Sunderland, but it just breaks the momentum of a football match sometimes if they're frequently happening fouls, little niggly ones. You want the game to flow a little bit more, don't you, sometimes, and it just seems to be stuttering this second half at the moment.
Hull have scored early in the second half at Queen's Park Rangers, so they're now leading by 2-1 as the ball is out of play by Anderson. It's actually landed, you might have heard that, it landed directly on the roof of the stand that we're in, the Johnny Haynes stand. And it's going to be a Sunderland throw halfway inside Fulham's half on this near left-hand side, which Ronaldo takes. You've got the sweets out at half-time, Franny, which I was very grateful for, but all of a sudden I'm feeling like I ate too many in too short a space of time, because the stomach is beginning to whirl a little bit, which isn't what you want, is it?
There's a nice little selection there, wasn't there?
It was lovely. Very much appreciated. I mean, we didn't have a chance of getting down to the press room for anything edible or indeed anything to drink.
No, we're definitely wedged in, and it's one of those commentary positions that once you're in, you're pretty much here for the duration, aren't you?
You know that because you were here only a few weeks ago alongside Ali Bruce Ball, weren't you, for Fulham against Arsenal, our live commentary on 5 Live, as Bassi hoiks the ball out of play, the Fulham centre-back, with his braided hair tied back tightly. So it's going to be a Sunderland throw. And this game, which began in the second half with a Sunderland spell of possession, and then we saw Fulham pinning Sunderland in, and now Sunderland are back out of their shells again and are coming at Fulham once more. So a throw from the right, Mukiele, and he's a bit of a specialist at this, Franny. We're going to see something long from him into the box. Didn't quite get the distance on it he wanted. Iwobi heads it away. Trouble for Mukiele here at Craven Cottage. Those advertising hoardings are so close to the pitch, you just can't get the run up to generate the power.
No, and I think certain clubs, even if they do have a wide perimeter around the pitch, they're starting to bring those boards in nowadays, aren't they, to make it harder for teams that make use of that sort of tactic with the long throw into the box. But it's getting that sort of time, Chris, I think, where both managers are going to be thinking about what can they do to make a change or two to try and help the teams on the pitch.
Here's the Norwegian Sander Berger, who's had a very good week or so with his national team qualifying for the World Cup with that win in Italy. But Fulham give it away, and Xhaka can run away. The former Arsenal midfielder, the Sunderland captain, was reading a great story about him and all the work he's doing with the youth team at the moment, and how they're integrating the young players at Sunderland with the senior pros, and he's playing a massive part in that. Granit Xhaka, that story was in the Sunderland Echo a couple of days ago. He's been going to watch under-21 games. He knows all the youth players by their first names. I mean, it's making a massive difference at the club.
I think it's great if you've got a character and a personality like that, and a player of Xhaka's stature showing that interest in the younger players. It can only be good for them. It'll rub off on them. It shows that sort of leadership and qualities that you've got to give as a senior player in the squad, and a captain as he is.
Jimenez got the ball, and then the shot from the halfway line from King, which is over the top of Roof's bar and actually wayward of his goal in the end. But it was a bit Kenny McLean-esque, wasn't it, from Josh King?
Well, if it had been on target and gone over the keeper, it would have been a spectacular goal. We've seen it happen quite a bit. It was quite literally on the halfway line, but his effort was skewered a little bit.
I can imagine Joachim Andersen, the Fulham centre half, was thinking, I wouldn't mind one of my own teammates doing that this weekend after what happened last week. In the Championship, couple of goals to tell you about. Birmingham City having a great day. They're now 4-1 up against Norwich City. Jay Stansfield's got the latest, and Portsmouth are 2-0 up against Millwall at Fratton Park. It's 0-0 here. We've played 57 minutes at a truly damp afternoon. I mean, we've had some lovely weather recently, but this is very befitting of late November, isn't it? Around these parts, the rain is, it's not sweeping, but it's just coming down at just a consistent pace, and it has been from the very start of this game as well. It's Bernd Leno in the red, the goalkeeper jersey, with the luminous gloves and boots which match, picks the ball up, the Fulham goalkeeper, and bowls it underarm out to his centre half, Joachim Andersen. There is one Scot in Fulham's ranks, by the way, and Tom Kearney. I wonder if he's had something to say to Joachim Andersen in recent days.
We've just seen substitutes from both sides as well, out on the far touchline in front of that new stand. Wouldn't be surprised to be seeing a few players making some changes in the coming minutes.
It's a foul by here Trauder, who got a bit too close to Kevin there, sent him sprawling, the Sao Paulo-born Fulham winger, across the slick Craven Cottage surface. So it's a Fulham free kick, 20 yards inside Sunderland's half, just left of centre, with Sander Berger over it, just peering round one of the big poles that are in this Johnny Hayes stand, the steel frames, to try and get a view of the pitch as Fulham work it to Wilson on the right, intercepted by Lefay for Sunderland, and Reinildo down by the corner flag, now in a bit of a tricky position because he's on the ground. There's not a foul. Kenny Tete's right behind him. Tete's grappling to get the ball back, and Sunderland have worked it to the edge of the penalty area. Xhaka's away. Traore was off down the right hand side, and Xhaka just didn't quite have the angle to play the pass, so Sunderland have had to go a little shorter instead, but they've still got it eventually to Traore, and it's back to Trey Hume now, halfway inside Fulham's half. Hume to Traore, and coming back in field for Hume as they just try and work this bit of space, Sunderland, as Mukiele, the centre half, again, as not for the first time in this game, a long way forward, the Sunderland defender. Might have been a suggestion that Hume was offside there. There was no flag that's gone up against him. Mukiele slips into the box. Lefay, Isidore at the near post. Andersen on top of him in a flash. Corner, but listen, you can hear those Sunderland supporters. It's all happening right in front of them. Corner to the visitors.
Yeah, decent play round the right hand side for Sunderland yet again, finding their way in. A lot of close marking from the Fulham players. It was Andersen, I think, that got the final touch to put it over for a corner, but it was some neat play from Sunderland. Build up into the box was good.
It's a short one while Fulham were still sorting themselves out. In it comes, claimed by Leno. Good catch as well by the Fulham goalkeeper, who quickly throws the ball out for Fulham to try and break with Jimenez. His crossfield pass didn't quite work, and Josh King comes over, closes down Siddiqui. Not a free kick, I don't think. Siddiqui is down holding his knee at the moment. Fulham want to get on with the throw, but Darren England's not going to allow that to happen if Siddiqui needs some treatment.
Well, we'll see if he did get caught, possibly, but I think he was certainly looking for it. His first touch didn't take it past the player. He had to put it out of play. Correct decision from the officials.
Oh, given away by Berger on the halfway line. Enzo Lefay passes forward for Sunderland. Isidore, Traore to his right. Traore's got it now onto his left foot, tries to give it back to Isidore. It wasn't a good pass by Bertrand Traore, and Andersen cuts it out, but Fulham, as you can probably hear from the Craven Cottage crowd, give it right back to Sunderland again. Siddiqui, Lefay, and again the quality of the pass isn't quite there from Enzo Lefay, and Fulham only half clear it, and it's bounced eventually off Tete and out for a Sunderland throw. 0-0, we've gone past the hour.
A couple of promising attacks from Sunderland, and the Fulham supporters showed their frustration at the side, giving the ball away for the second time, but just that final pass in and around the box from Sunderland, just not there, and that's got to be a foul throw, surely. No, he's allowed it to go. Wow.
It was Reinildo, wasn't it? And just the body language of Reinildo, sometimes you just know with players, and he absolutely knew that should have been penalised.
He almost threw it to himself, right in front of him. Very bizarre.
Northampton have equalised against Cardiff City 1-1 in League One. I'll give you the Premier League scores as they are right now. Chelsea 2-0 winners at Burnley earlier today, and West Ham are 2-0 up at Bournemouth. Brentford leading at Brighton by a goal to nil. I'll come back to that in a moment, because Sunderland flow forward again. Lefay with a very gracious touch on the left, and he's coming to the penalty area now. Enzo Lefay, he's just trying to engineer the room. Xhaka on the edge of the penalty area, and he popped it in the direction of Trey Hume. Siddiqui with the quick feet back to Lefay, moving infield across the edge of the penalty area. 0-0 between Fulham and Sunderland. This is the cross from Trey Hume, which the Fulham header away as far as Ballard, and here Trowder, and they push players up here, Sunderland, to keep the pressure on. Lefay inside the box, spinning right on the angle on this left-hand side. Now Siddiqui, who's looking to make his way past Kenny Tete, drops a shoulder to the right, crosses with his right foot towards Traore. It didn't sit down for a Sunderland player, and it's hacked upfield by Kevin and away for Fulham.
Yeah, Fulham looking pretty solid back there, quite happy to just sit deep, sit low in that low block. And Sunderland, although they're having a lot of pressure, just can't find that final delivery into the box with a bit of quality, or finding a third man run where they can just slip somebody in.
The rest of those latest scores from the Premier League: Nottingham Forest still 2-0 up against Liverpool. That's our 5 Live 3 o'clock game, which you can hear right now with Ian Dennis at Anfield. His Enzo Lefay pushes it down the line for Siddiqui, overcomes Joachim Andersen, using that wet surface to slide in his feet and put it out for a throw. We're going to see a couple of changes, so Franny, I'll just ask you to keep your eye on those ones for me, while I tell you that Crystal Palace have scored at Wolves. Daniel Munoz has got the first goal of that game at Molineux, which of course is the first game that Rob Edwards is in charge of today as the new Wolves manager. And we've got Newcastle against Manchester City from 5:30, which is live on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. Right, let's have a look at this change then, Franny. I'm seeing the number of Shemsdeen Talby, I think so. He's one of the Sunderland changes. Traore's gone off for him, and who else is coming on here? Brian Brobby, I think, who of course had a very big moment in the game against Arsenal a couple of weeks ago. Brian Brobby coming off the bench to make it 2-2, and Fulham are going to make a change here as well. And
King was off when Josh King went.
Josh King has come off. That's Emile Smith-Rowe, I can see, who's come on, and Samuel Chukwueze as well. So that's a double Fulham change too. So we'll just try and get our head around all of that in a moment, Franny. I've got a bit of scribbling to do when we get a spare second. So here comes the Sunderland throw, 0-0 the scoreline. Siddiqui collecting it off Brobby. Siddiqui running past Anderson into the box. Square ball across goal, and away it goes eventually from Sessegnon after Chukwueze maybe inadvertently guided it his way. But that was another promising break for Sunderland, who have certainly come at Fulham in this second half with far more menace, Franny Benali, than they offered in the first.
Yep, we're certainly starting to get to that stage where both sides are realising what needs to be done to get the lead in this game, and they're pushing certainly a lot more than what they are at the moment. Home supporters getting behind their team, just trying to play their bit as well off the pitch. There's Tete, who's just in no real rush really to go and take this throw in, just as the Sunderland players, just seeing one of them just adjusting their boots. It's Ballard, I think his foot's come out of his boot, so clearly that would be helpful to get his foot back in and get the laces done back up before this throw gets taken. Referee's allowing him to do that.
I don't know what size Ballard would be in terms of boots, but given the size of him, I imagine they're in double digits.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's a size 4 boot or anything. That would be quite strange, wouldn't it?
Did you ever play with anyone who wore size 4 boots?
Do you know what, maybe the reason I said size 4 is I think Steve Moran, remember the little striker who played for Southampton? He wore size 4 boots.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Tiny, tiny feet.
This is Tete crossing from the right, closed down well. Fulham corner, won by their Dutch fullback 66 minutes on the clock, which is very prominent at either end. The big electronic displays hanging high above the Putney end and the Hammersmith end that Fulham are attacking in this second half, as Harry Wilson raises the right arm into the air for this Fulham corner. The Hammersmith end rises to its feet as Wilson swings it in. Mukiele won the initial header. The ball's sat down with Anderson, but he's back to goal. Berger trying to make the room, and he's teed it up for Sessignon's delivery. It's bounced out, and then Iwobi shoots from the edge of the box, and he's not got hold of that cleanly, and it is skewed off at an angle and out for a goal kick. 0-0.
Those kind of shots, when it comes back to a player on the edge of the box, when there's a lot of players in front of you, it's bouncing, and add the conditions to it as well, it's always going to be a very, very difficult effort to even just get it on target, let alone score a goal. And it was again a slice there from Iwobi, but both teams recognising that they've just got to step up their games, I think, if they want to win this match today.
Nice stat for you, Franny, on Alex Iwobi. He is I don't know if you know this, he's the nephew of JJ Okocha. Do you remember JJ Okocha?
Yeah. Bolton Wanderers?
Yeah, Nigerian international, I mean, technically wonderful player. Alex Iwobi. Now, of course, of Fulham, formerly of Everton and Arsenal as well. As the ball from Sessignon is forward, and Wilson tracks his shot wide of the post. And a lot of people around us inside Craven Cottage thought that was destined for the bottom corner, but Wilson, for the second time in this game, has put one just wide of Robin Roof's post.
Well, Fulham, in 3 passes or 2 passes before Harry Wilson got his shots away, literally just carved through the centre of the Sunderland team. Pass coming into the centre of midfield, and then it's Wilson who takes the shot away, and his reaction shows it all. Just expecting the ball to roll into the back of the net. Fabulous play.
Sorry, Franny, as Enzo Lefebvre I thought was going to get away from Anderson there. He couldn't, and Fulham clear it upfield. Ballard was being hauled down by the neck by Raul Jimenez, and actually Ballard's saying, hang on a second, I just need to sort myself out here. It's a really big tussle between 2 very big men, Ballard and Jimenez.
Yeah, there was certainly a little wrestling match there. There was a bit of a handoff from Jimenez, which resulted in Ballard going to ground and winning the free kick. Ballard suggesting that he was almost like, he had me by the throat, ref. With a little bit of a smile, but I think he's pleased to win the free kick.
He's got the gloves on as well, Raul Jimenez, so it would have been soft contact at least for Ballard. Right, it's going to be a Sunderland free kick, but before this is going to happen, Robin Roofs, the Sunderland goalkeeper, is down at the moment and asking for some treatment, so we're going to have a slight delay here. Fulham 0, Sunderland 0 the scoreline, so that can just give me the chance to bring you up to date with a few goals that have gone in across the Premier League and the EFL. Cardiff have scored at Northampton, so they're now leading by 2-1. Crawley have equalised against Accrington, 1-1 there. Lincoln have got one back at Wickham. Lincoln going along really nicely at the moment, but trailing Wickham by 2-1. Mansfield 1, Huddersfield 3 now the scoreline, so that's 1 back for Mansfield. QPR have come from behind against Hull. They were 2-1 down to lead by 3-2, and Crystal Palace have got a very quick second at Molineux. Jeremy Pino has scored goal number 2 for Oliver Glasner's team. Actually, I've just seen that Bournemouth have scored as well against West Ham, so Bournemouth 1, West Ham 2 now. Marcus Tavernier getting 1 back for them. Barnsley 4-0 up against Luton as well.
Need a goal here, Chris.
Yeah.
Nice, share it round a little bit.
20 minutes for somebody to find one. Fulham 0, Sunderland 0 here on 5 Live Sports Extra. Here comes the Xhaka free kick from the halfway line, bounces in the box, nobody got a touch on it at all in the end. Ballard was close, but he couldn't make connections, and it is a goal kick.
Decent ball in, actually, wasn't it? It was just certainly asking the question for players to go and attack it from both sides. It just escaped both players in the end, but team's going a little bit more direct now into the box.
Just pointing you in the direction of some of the live football we've got coming up. Newcastle against Manchester City to come from 5:30 on 5 Live. We've got Leeds, Villa and Arsenal Tottenham tomorrow, and plenty of Champions League football for you during the week as well. 4 live Champions League games. Chelsea, Barcelona, Manchester City, Bayer Leverkusen on Tuesday night, and Arsenal against Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain against Tottenham Hotspur on Wednesday. Great selection of matches. You can hear them all on 5 Live and 5 Live Sports Extra.
Oh, it always gets interesting when you got a striker closing a goalkeeper down and he does a Cruyff turn to get out of trouble. But Roos did it brilliantly there.
As Sunderland switch play brilliantly from right to left, and Enzo Lefebvre into the box. Tete's coming over to meet him. A step over, and Lefebvre wins the corner off the legs of Kenny Tete. Sunderland with the corner in front of the Putney end with 18 minutes to go, and the scoreline Fulham 0, Sunderland 0.
I wonder if Robin Roos was thinking then in the build-up as they were about to shoot and have an attack, thinking, please score, because I'll get on the footage of the build-up, doing my Cruyff turn at the opposite end of the pitch, then we go up the other end and score.
Enzo Lefebvre with this Sunderland corner. You can tell there's no wind around despite the rain, because the corner flag is just sort of sat silently there next to him. It's in towards Ballard, who heads it back towards goal and into the grasp of Bernd Leno. And Talby was just trying to block his path in terms of throwing one out quickly there, but Fulham have found an exit through Iwobi, and the little flick round the corner, and now maybe they might be in. Chukwueze, Wilson on his left foot, couldn't find the room. Jimenez has picked it up on the edge of the box. He's shot right-footed, he's ploughed it at Xhaka. It's come back to Jimenez again, and with a slightly tired pass he gives it away, and it's Sunderland's turn to break. Mukiele trying to slip Brobby in. Bassi comes over, blocks the angle, wins the ball, and goes back to Leno.
Yeah, deserves a round of applause from his supporters. Good defending from Bassi. But Jimenez wasn't right really to take the shot on in the first place, and then to lose possession as well resulted in the counter-attack from Sunderland, which didn't come to anything. But just seeing those little errors was coming into the game a little bit as well now. Managers, I'm sure, will be thinking about potentially making some more changes.
Great game between Crewe and Chesterfield in League 2, because it's now Crewe 3, Chesterfield 3, and Millwall have had Joe Bryan sent off at Fratton Park. They're losing against Portsmouth by 2 goals to 0 as well. There's Smith Rowe with the layoff, and Sessegnon making the bursting run into the box, and out comes Robin Roos, slides at his feet and claims the ball. The Dutchman, who has been in the Dutch senior squad in the last couple of international windows, still waiting for his first cap for his country. As Sunderland play their way out through Xhaka and then Ballard, who lofts it long in the direction of Brobby, but Bassi stood in front of him to sweep it up. And then it's infield for Smith Rowe, out to the left-hand side for Sessegnon. Now Chukwueze, and backwards 10 yards for Iwobi, just inside Sunderland's half. His clip ball forward is intercepted by Mukiele, and then Berger goes back to Anderson, and Bassi's going to go all the way back to goalkeeper Leno. 0-0 still.
Chris, this game could well be shaping up to what you described earlier in the comms about the way that the teams score and concede, both these teams. It could easily go that way today, couldn't it? See it once again, wouldn't be a surprise whatsoever. Sunderland are able to score late, very late goals to take the points, and Fulham, as you've mentioned, have certainly shipped a few late on, so will today follow similar format.
Here's Tete delivering from the right. Jimenez couldn't quite sort his body out. Smith Rowe! Oh, he lashed it. He really got hold of it, and it flashes past the right-hand post of Robin Roos on the half volley with his left foot from Emile Smith Rowe.
Well, that's probably the closest indication we've had that Fulham are scoring, especially from the angle that we saw it from here in our stand. And there's a line of home supporters sat in the row behind us, and they were on their feet. They thought Emile Smith Rowe had rifled it into the top corner, but as before, we've seen on a few attempts just the wrong side of the post for Fulham on this occasion.
I think those in the very front row would have been off their seats if they weren't so wet, Franny. They probably can't move. They're completely sodden down there. I mean, I really do feel for them. The bobble hats are out. They're just doing whatever they can, really. All who've got coats with hoods, they've all been pulled up here on this soaking wet afternoon. It's still Fulham 0, Sunderland 0, and we are now approaching the final 15 minutes of this game. And this Fulham team, I mean, you're talking about the potential of a late goal. They've struggled with clean sheets, Fulham. 2 clean sheets in their last 20 Premier League games. As Sunderland come forward with Brobby, Bassi tussling with him, Anderson there to help out, and it is the Dane who clears it away with his left foot, and it's bounced out of play off Mukiele. I think it's going to be a Fulham throw, halfway inside their half on the left.
Yeah, we're just looking for that little bit of quality, aren't we, to see the difference between the two sides. I really wouldn't like to call it so far. Both sides getting opportunities. They'll certainly reflect, if it stays 0-0, they'll reflect back on 1 or 2 chances where they'll be a bit disappointed maybe they didn't just do a little bit better. But what is tight competition?
Yeah, and what is very clear, isn't it, Franny, is that you can see that these are two teams who internally now are thinking we can win this in the final 15 minutes.
Exactly, but it's that sort of risk and reward, Chris, isn't it? You know, it's how brave are the teams prepared to sort of go after that, or how conservative do they want to play to make sure that they at least take a point from this game.
We'll be off to the Aviva Stadium after our coverage here at Craven Cottage for that autumn international between Ireland and South Africa that gets underway at 5:45, so make sure you stay with us so you can join Chris Jones and the team there. And we've got Scotland against Tonga and England against Argentina to come tomorrow as well. England on this brilliant run at the moment. Will that continue tomorrow against the Pumas? Here comes Smith Rowe down the left wing for Fulham. The pullback, the layoff by Jimenez, who just lost his balance, I think, Raul Jimenez. He tried to lay it off for a teammate and he was stumbling backwards as he played the pass.
Yeah, just one of those ones when you make a run, I think, as a striker and it's just played slightly behind you, it can throw your run. And he was trying to stretch out a left foot, wasn't he, to get it under control or lay it off to his teammate, but just all went wrong for Jimenez. It's been a bit of a tough afternoon for him so far.
Reading 1, Rotherham 1 in League One. Charlie Savage, son of Robbie, has equalised for the Royals. And Craven Cottage with what looks like pretty much a full house. There is a smattering of spare seats in that Riverside stand, but not too many. They are still waiting for their first goal here. And I've got a couple of Fulham friends who tell me that they're really disappointed with the ticket prices here because they're not always getting full houses. As Chukwueze crosses, it should be Robin's Roofs. Oh, he was beaten to it. Jimenez attacked it, and it was almost as if Roofs didn't quite have both of his hands on the ball as Jimenez came and was brave enough to go and stick his head in with the goalkeeper.
Well, it certainly wasn't a convincing claim from Roofs, was it? He's trying to sort his feet out. He goes up to take it, but you'd have to say it's a completely fair challenge from Jimenez as well. I think it would have been a perfectly good goal had the ball dropped into the back of the net.
Didn't end up having any of his hands on it really firmly, did he, Roofs?
No, not at all. Like I say, far from convincing on that occasion.
Millwall have got one back against Portsmouth. That's 10 men Millwall. Portsmouth 2, Millwall 1, and Lincoln have come from 2-0 down to make it 2-2 against Wickham as Harry Wilson is tripped on the halfway line by Reynaldo, who is wiggling his finger in the direction of the assistant referee. He's going to be booked here, the Sunderland left back, for that challenge.
Yeah, Harry Wilson just getting there before. It's not much contact, but it's a foul. Reynaldo's like wagging his finger straight away, and then he's wagging his finger right in front of the assistant referee's face. That probably didn't help matters, I don't think, in receiving the yellow card.
Yeah, he spent 3.5 years, Reynaldo, with Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid. That was a very Diego Simeone waggling finger there, wasn't it? Here's Smith Rowe for Fulham, still 0-0. Are we going to have a goal here? And the shot from the angle from Chukwueze, there was a shout for a potential handball, mainly from the Fulham supporters, as it's worked out to that left flank again for Fulham to have another go here. Slipped into the penalty area across goal and just wide. It was Sessegnon who couldn't quite get the angle right, and he drops to his knees and bows his head forward, the Fulham left back. He feels that was a chance.
Yeah, are they coming closer? They're certainly not through the lack of effort. Nice little slide pass in, but Sessegnon's foot, he fires it across goal. I think Roofs has got his positioning spot on. Would have blocked anything on target, I feel. But Sessegnon feeling a bit frustrated. Head in hands. And Sunderland are just slowing things down a little bit now. I think they're waiting for the 90 plus minutes again.
He's Fulham's joint top Premier League scorer this season, Ryan Sessegnon, albeit he's only got 2 goals, as has Harry Wilson. And we await our first of the afternoon here, but this is Chukwueze. Fulham are beginning to ask the questions now, but that's hooked away by Ballard, and off goes Brobby on the halfway line. He has support either side of him. One of them is Siddiqui. Siddiqui doesn't get the pass right for Taulby. It's drifted over his head, and Siddiqui is offering his immediate apologies to his teammate. It's out for a Fulham throw on the opposite side, the left.
Yeah, Siddiqui's ball in, and you can see what he's trying to do, but he's just trying to float it in front of his teammate on the opposite side of the pitch. But it's got to be a precise pass to drop right at his feet.
Goal back for MK Dons against Tranmere Rovers, but then immediately, having done that, MK Dons, who began the day inside the top 3 in League 2, they then had Jonathan Lecco sent off, so they're now down to 10 men and still trailing by 2 goals to 1 as Talby with the ball bouncing is beaten to it by Bassi with not the most convincing clearance actually from the Nigerian defender, and Sunderland have got the ball back because of it. This is Mukiele with the layoff. Talby, Siddiqui. Look at all this room on the left-hand side for Lefay, but Talby went the opposite way and Iwobi made the interception. Enzo Lefay was in acres of space. That's the cross from Mukiele, which is closed down, and now Fulham bring it away. Maybe they just didn't see him?
Yeah, possibly, but it was wonderful build-up initially, wasn't it? Sunderland, nice 1 and 2 touch passing. Just fell apart at the key moment, really.
0-0 in the first top-flight game between Fulham and Sunderland since Sunderland won 4-1 here at Craven Cottage. This is a chance for Wilson. Low left-footed shot, deflected behind through a corner. Excellent bit of defending that from Reynildo, who was launching himself at the feet of Harry Wilson to stop it.
It certainly was a good block, Chris, wasn't it, as well? And promising play. Good ball in from Smith Rowe. Harry Wilson just tees it up, shoots with his left foot. Reynildo just sliding in, making use of the slippery surface to aid his block.
Ennison now's got his first Premier League goal of the season for Bournemouth. They've come from 2-0 down to make it 2-2 against West Ham United. And we're level here at 0-0. Come on, you Whites, as Anderson heads towards goal and Roofs allows it to bounce past his left-hand post and behind for a goal kick.
Still waiting, aren't we? Just want that one goal to really lift the roof off for one section of the supporters here. Who will it be if we do get it at all? Who will be the happier of the two managers maybe to take just a point here today? We shall see.
Match of the day on BBC One from 10:20 tonight, if you'd like to see the highlights of this one and everything else that's happening in the top flight today in England. And of course, as is new this season as well, all the goals a little later on this evening will be available for you to watch on the BBC website as well, and on the iPlayer. You'll only be watching chances as it stands here. You're not going to be seeing a goal if you're going to watch what's happened this afternoon. And we are sort of drifting towards this feeling that 0-0 might be the direction of travel for these two this afternoon. But there's 7 minutes still of normal time to play, and Sander Berge just creeping into Sunderland's half in the centre of the pitch, gives it to Chukwueze, who delivers a good ball towards Jimenez, who meets it and scores for Fulham. Inside the 6-yard box, the Mexican pounces, and there is mass celebrations amongst those Fulham players, and indeed all around us here at Craven Cottage. That was a proper predatory finish from Raul Jimenez, and Fulham find the breakthrough with just over 5 minutes to go.
Well, it's what we've been wanting all game, really. It's taken a long time till we got this first goal of the game today, but I've got to say, mentioned a bit earlier how Raul Jimenez is having a quiet game so far today, but you just need that one chance as a striker, and he was in the key position, the right moment. It was a great delivery in. Build up down the centre of the pitch initially from Fulham, then they worked it out left onto the touchline, and Jimenez is just make a run in between the two Sunderland players, and he stretches out his, I think it's his right leg, isn't it? He's got to watch it because it bounces in front of him. It's like a half volley, but he's only 3 or 4 yards out, and he steers it past Roofs to give the home side the lead.
I'll tell you what, I was mentioning Match of the Day tonight, 10:20 on BBC One. Tune in for the ball from Chukwueze to Raul Jimenez then, because that is about as good a delivery as you can get from a wide area. An awful one for Sunderland to try and defend.
You're right, it's horrible for a defender to try and deal with running back to their own goal. We saw Robin Roofs almost think about coming out to collect it, but Chukwueze's ball was so good, as you said, Chris. It's just asking a player like Raul Jimenez to just stick a leg out on it or make the run, and just a 1 or 2 yard run to make the difference. Fabulous ball in, good finish. It's given the home side that lead that they want, and it's lifted the home supporters onto their feet and into full voice.
Yeah, a real bounce around Craven Cottage now, at least in most portions of it. Not that bank of Sunderland supporters over towards our left-hand side in the Putney end right now. They're a little more sedate, but their team has still got time to work their way back into this game, and as we know, they are the kings of the late goals, Sunderland, in the Premier League this season. Taubey, a little 1-2, he's going to leave it. Mukiele delivers, it's not a good delivery, it was behind everybody, and Iwobi picks it up for Fulham, gives it to Wilson. Wilson, he was caught, but he played the pass to Jimenez. Referee's playing the advantage. Jimenez up to the edge of the penalty area. He's got support coming from Chukwueze. Chukwueze, he has reached it. Jimenez again, couldn't quite hit the ball cleanly. Sunderland clear. Sessegnon, now Iwobi, and back to Sander Berge, and all the way back to Anderson on the halfway line.
Yeah, what a break that was from Fulham. Sunderland able to get back and just get behind the ball again now, but credit to Harry Wilson. He got fouled, I think, in the centre circle, but he broke up, got onto his feet, carried the run on and caused the threat getting forward. But game's certainly come to life now, and Sunderland know what they've got to do if they're to take anything away here this afternoon.
Brighton have come from behind to lead Brentford. Jack Hinshelwood has scored for the home team. Nottingham Forest have got another one at Liverpool. Liverpool 0, Nottingham Forest 3. What a result that is for Sean Dyche's side. And Rangers back in front against Livingston through Mohamed Diamande's goal. But the 84th minute goal here from Raul Jimenez right now dividing Fulham and Sunderland in this live game here on 5 Live Sports Extra. We've got rugby to come after this, Ireland against South Africa. We've got live boxing from Riyadh tonight from 11 o'clock. We've got the Las Vegas Grand Prix from 4 o'clock tomorrow morning, with Lando Norris on pole as Fulham look for what would be a clinching goal. Wilson tees it up for Berge, right side of Sunderland's penalty area. Here is Tete. Tete slipping it through the gap. Wilson's now inside the box and he's been just forced out of it slightly. He's won Fulham a throw though, deep inside Sunderland's half on this near right side. Franny Benali.
Good play from a trio of the Fulham players, Berge, Wilson, Tete, just knocking the ball around between themselves up in that final third. And Sunderland's defensive third, just taking the sting out of the game a little bit, that game management that you expect to see.
Good reception for Alex Iwobi, whose number has just come up on the digital display. So it is a good game. Fulham change he has, hasn't he?
Yep. Played well today, Iwobi, defensively forward. It's a difficult job, that midfield role at times. Got to get up, got to get back, do both sides of the game.
And on comes Harrison Reed, who has at times not even been in Fulham's squads this season, but the sort of player, the small defensive midfielder who is very good at shutting down games, and that will be his role here for Fulham as they take the throw, but it comes off Tete. It's now going to be a Sunderland throw in their left back area. 1-0 Fulham, 90 seconds to play plus stoppage time. The goal from Raul Jimenez, and this as it stands is going to have Fulham moving above Newcastle United into 14th, but Sunderland just carry this air of self-belief about them, and they're moving forward here with Trey Hume into Fulham's half. Now Taubey 20 yards outside the box, he's on the right wing. He tried to a couple of step overs and he's lost the ball, and then he's ended up pulling Chukwueze over having lost the ball, and it's a Fulham free kick.
Well, with Sunderland's record and ability of scoring late goals, Chris, I don't think we're going to see any of the Sunderland fans leaving early, that's for sure. They'll be hoping that they can get a goal back, but the ball's in the right possession of the team. Just referee's blown his whistle just to pull it back. It was a quick free kick, but substitutions taking place.
Yeah, so who is Sunderland bringing on here? It looks like it's Mayenda, the young Spanish forward, who feels like a bit of a last throw of the dice really from Regis Lebris, and also Simon Adingra as well, the former Brighton winger, as part of that double Sunderland change. Enzo Lefebvre is one of those who has departed here in the final seconds of the 90 as Harrison Reed takes a heavy touch and Sunderland clear upfield, and Mayenda straight off the bench is going to chase this. Bassi just needs to be careful, but the ball had enough pace on it that he can allow it to run through to Bernd Leno, and we're going to keep our eye now on the fourth official, who's about to tell us how long we're going to have at the end of the 90, and the answer is 5 extra minutes at Craven Cottage. Fulham 1, Sunderland 0.
Yep, so the 5 minutes is about right. Substitutions, a few little stoppages. Is it enough for Sunderland though to get back and at least salvage a point here this afternoon? Fulham will be doing all that they can just to manage this game now, I'd say, for these remaining minutes.
This is Chukwueze slipping it into the box, looking for Smith Rowe. Ballard and here Chowder getting in a mess amongst it all, and Iwobi can't find the clinical pass. Chukwueze, I should say, can't find the clinical pass that perhaps would have allowed Fulham to finish the game off there. And then Robbie, under pressure, loses the ball on the halfway line. Fulham come again. Smith Rowe just outside the box. Now Harry Wilson. 1-0 to Fulham. Began the day 1 point above the bottom three, so this does feel significant. Here's Chukwueze dancing his way into the box, shooting left-footed. It's come back to Chukwueze again, who's still inside the area, stood up by Talby, and now Fulham come out of the box to Berger on that left-hand side. Back to Chukwueze again. Chukwueze running at Mukiele. Smith Rowe scuffs his effort towards goal. He just had a bit of a lash at that, Smith Rowe, and the chance goes.
It was a little bit of a tricky one, wasn't it? Came at him quite quick. It was bouncing. Not an easy one at all by any means. You just have to say, the Fulham players, I'm sure Marco Silva will be wanting his team just to control this remaining minutes that we have now.
And as it stands, it's 3 points for Fulham. It's a clean sheet for Fulham, and Marco Silva will look at this as being one of the more significant results, I think, of his team's season so far, just in the manner in which they've won this game. This is Adingra, though, for Sunderland, swinging it in. It was only Brian Brobby in there, and it was too high for him from Adingra, and it's behind for a goal kick, and 2 of the 5 minutes of stoppage time have gone already. 1-0 Fulham leads.
Yeah, and Fulham won't be in any hurry, Bernd Leno, to restart this, that's for sure. Darren England manages, got his whistle poised to make sure that there's no time wasting going on. I'm sure he'll add anything that he feels is due to be added. But again, Bernd Leno's just still walking across the 6-yard box. Now he's waving his defenders up, just running that clock down. All these little 5-10 seconds here and there can make the difference.
It's actually been 30 seconds now since that cross from Adingra, so Leno's done a good job of eating up the time here. Darren England's going to have to book him, though, I think, because this is going on too long. That's exactly what's going to happen. It is a yellow card for Fulham's goalkeeper.
It's what they do now, isn't it? Just overstep the mark, like you say. I think as a goalkeeper in those kind of situations, you've got to always have your eyes on the referee as well. You know, they'll be gesturing, they'll be communicating that as well. And he's now insisting that Harry Wilson goes off. He's going to get booked, Harry Wilson, because Darren England told him to go off the shortest route possible, but he ran right past him and ignored him, gone straight across to the dugout. He's received a yellow card for it.
So he's been booked as well as his goalkeeper in the last minute. On comes Timothy Castagna to give a slightly more solid look to this Fulham team for the last 90 seconds. And Leno's going to take this goal kick eventually with the scoreline Fulham 1, Sunderland 0. And we're now in the sort of territory for Sunderland that, I mean, that we're talking about them being great at scoring late goals. I mean, this is going to be the latest of late goals if they get one here now. As Adingra beaten to it by Tete on the halfway line. Xhaka collects it, the Swiss. Forward for Siddiqui, now to Adingra on the left wing. Adingra back inside. Oh, it was wayward of Xhaka. It's a poor pass, and Jimenez runs forward, and then Ronaldo steps across his path and wins it back for Sunderland. Ronaldo was fouled, but Sunderland have got the ball, and they need to be allowed that advantage to continue here. Mayenda wins Sunderland a throw halfway up inside Fulham's half on the right, and we're inside the final 60 seconds of that minimum 5 minutes that have been added on, Franny.
Well, if they get yet another late goal, it would be incredible right in front of their travelling supporters. Every single one of them will lift the roof off, I'm sure, if they do get that goal. But Fulham have got a defender what's shaping up to be a long throw into the box.
So Mukiele, who's, I noted this week, on average has got the second longest throw in the Premier League this season. Let's see if there is something that he can deliver here that can rescue Sunderland in these final few seconds. Ballard has ended up on the ground inside the box, so before this throw is taken, the referee is just going to talk to him and to Sander Berger, who are the two players that were grappling. It's a short one in the end from Mukiele after all of that. It's Talby's cross. Jimenez heads it away for Fulham. Sunderland are going to pick it up again. They're trailing by a goal to 0, and we're into the 6th minute of stoppage time now. Out to the left-hand side for Adingra. Adingra, a couple of step-overs, trying to get round the outside of Castagna. Comes back in on his right foot. His cross comes to the edge of the box. There was a shot which was from Hare Trowder, and Fulham intercept that, punt it upfield out for a Sunderland throw. Robin Roofs, the goalkeeper, wants to take it, but because Smith Rowe was quickly running up, Roofs has decided against that, and Sunderland are going to now have to be really, really quick with this.
Yeah, and you can probably hear around the ground there's whistles from the Fulham supporters. They think that's it. Just down to Darren England now.
Well, all the whistles you're hearing are from the Fulham supporters, but not the one that matters at the moment. Fulham win the header. Forward it goes towards Smith Rowe. There is the full-time whistle. A precious 3 points for Fulham, who will have felt the pressure coming into this game, but pressure relieved with that victory and the late goal from Raul Jimenez. 6 minutes from the end after Chukwueze's cross from the left, and he met it 6 yards out to guide it past Robin Roofs. And though Sunderland offered a threat, it crossed that second half. Not quite a threat enough on Bert Leno's goal. They've lost their 4-match unbeaten run that they built up in the Premier League, and Fulham are up to 14th in the Premier League table. They've gone above Newcastle United for now, who play later on against Manchester City in our live game on 5 Live, and Sunderland slipping down to 6th in the Premier League table, with a bit of a skirmish happening at the full-time whistle, involving not just players but substitutes, members of coaching staff, and there are a lot of people trying to haul people away from each other right now. Franny Benali, a slightly ugly finish to this game.
Yeah, it's something's probably been said, I guess, at the final whistle, or a comment, and there's been some sort of reaction, but you're probably going to think that the FA are going to look at this as some kind of mass confrontation, might be charges or a case to be heard on this, but didn't quite see what did spark it off. But it's a big 3 points for Fulham. You've got to say, in the position they were in, it was a huge game for them to come away with 3 points against the Sunderland side that have started the season so well. You've got to say it's probably deserved, I think, on the balance of play and the chances that were created. Marco Silva will be absolutely delighted.
What was crucial for you, Franny, about Fulham's performance today? Because, there is no doubt about it, beginning the day 1 point above the bottom 3, as they had been, having lost 5 of their last 6 in the Premier League. There was a weight of pressure on the shoulders of Marco Silva and his players.
Yeah, for sure. As players and management and as a club, it's there for everyone to see where you are on the table. And you mentioned early in the comms that they've got to make Craven Cottage a difficult place to come for sides, and they've taken all their wins that they've had so far this season here. So if they can improve on the road a little bit, it wouldn't be a surprise to see them climb the table a little bit, but that's huge, with games coming up against Tottenham away, Man City back here at the Cottage, and then Crystal Palace. So there's some big games ahead, difficult games ahead, so this was a huge 3 points for them today.
And actually looking at Sunderland's fixtures coming up now, they're walking into quite a tricky period. Bournemouth, Liverpool beaten by Nottingham Forest today, then they're off to Manchester City, and then Newcastle, that time-weird derby on the horizon as well.
Very tough run of fixtures, as you say, Chris, and we were talking even before the game, weren't we, a little way off yet, but how potentially the Africa Cup of Nations is going to affect Sunderland. They've got 7 players, I think, in their squad that could potentially be going away, and how that will affect them maybe at that stage of the season. A big month for them. Still a few games before them, some very difficult ones, as you say, but all these factors sort of come into the bigger picture over the course of the season.
Raul Jimenez, I can see, just shaking the hands and signing a couple of autographs of some of the Fulham supporters who have flooded to the front of the Putney end. The rest of his teammates are on a bit of a lap of honour here. The Fulham players just soaking up the praise. So Fulham moving on to 14 Premier League points, up to 14th as well in the table. And let me just quickly point you in the direction of the live football to come. Newcastle against Manchester City from 5:30 on 5 Live and on BBC Sounds. Leeds against Aston Villa and Arsenal against Spurs. 2 live Premier League matches for you tomorrow.